Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Gonna give it a couple more minutes for everyone to join us. How was everyone's weekend? Who has something great to share? I know you all do. I know Beth got an offer on one of her listings. Let's see. I'm trying to think who else had an open house this weekend. I know that Chelsea was calling some expireds yesterday, which is awesome. Perfect. We are just waiting for a couple more peeps to join us. Does everyone have their people in command? At least you have a couple names, emails, phone numbers, etc. in command, because that is going to be very beneficial to the class today. By the way, y'all can feel free to unmute yourself. If there's a lot of background noise, please don't. But if there isn't, please feel free to unmute yourself. At least for now, while we're just kind of sharing some good news, and I'll mute everyone when we get started. Okay, perfect. Hey, Sue. So yeah, if everyone's homework is going to be, and we haven't had our first one-on-one yet, so you'll get your homework whenever we do, is going to be to add peeps to your command database, because we are going to create a newsletter today that's going to go out to everyone. And no worries if you don't have them in your command database yet, that's just going to be your homework for after this. So today's command class for group coaching is going to be a combination of, it's really going to focus on creating a newsletter, and I'll show y'all how to create other items such as emails, social media posts, things like that, using the campaigns and designs portions of command. So very excited to share that with all y'all. And Kristen from our office is going to be joining the call here soon. She will be getting on to help us because she's our command expert. So let's get this rocking and rolling. If y'all see the side of my face, I apologize. My camera is on this screen and y'all are going to be on this screen so that I can be looking at what we're doing over here. So anyone have some good news to share with us? Who picked up a new buyer? Who held an open house? Who had a listing appointment? Who made phone calls this weekend? Who got a client under contract? Who can share?
I just had a client.
Type it in the chat. Ooh,
I had my first client go under contract about an hour ago.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay, happy Monday to you then. So do you represent the buyer?
The buyer, yeah.
Perfect.
I took him to
How did you find this buyer?
I took him to 6 houses on Saturday, and they, even though they didn't like any, it was helpful because they were able to sort of see stuff that they didn't like, and they actually completely changed their search from seeing ranches. They no longer wanted a ranch because they realized that they weren't going to get a big master and some other things.
Yeah.
So we went back out Sunday and saw 7 more, and they fell in love with one, and we were in a multiple offer situation, and I got news last night that their offer was accepted. We did an escalation clause, but it wasn't needed. So
yes, I love it. Okay, good job. So the 2 o'clock class today is going to be how to write a winning offer, and it's going to be all the basics for writing an offer, as well as some great tips on here is how to win in a multiple offer situation. So that's awesome, Dave. Good for you. Congrats to you and your buyers. That's awesome. Does anyone else have some good news to share? Tell me something good.
I'm going to get my first listing on Wednesday.
Yes. Is this your friend's house?
It's her cabin.
Oh, that's right. Okay, up in Big Canoe.
Up in LJ.
LJ, that's right. Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. I have the photographer lined up. We're going to go up next Sunday. This coming. to take the photographs and everything so that it can actually go live the following week.
Yes, I love that. Congrats, Jeff.
Thank you.
Were you gonna say something? Negative? Okay, so let's get started. Like I said, I apologize. Oh, Sue said, showed 2 yesterday and client wants to submit an offer. That is awesome.
Yay, that is great.
Yes, that is great. I'm really proud of y'all, and I'm very appreciative of y'all being really participatory on our Zoom calls. That is fantastic. Y'all make me really proud. So a couple of housekeeping tips first. So next Monday is going to be our groups A, B, and C again at 12, 1, and 2 p.m. And so you'll be attending the group that you are assigned to. A is 0 or 1 transaction closed. B is 2, 3, and 4. C is 5 plus. The topic for the 22nd, 2 Mondays from now, are at 12 p.m. we have buyer consult and the BBA, buyer brokerage agreement, how to go over that, how to set up a buyer consult, what to talk about during it. The second one is social media marketing. So that's going to be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. Both posts that you can make for free as well as some paid campaigns, boosts, things like that. And then from 2 to 3 p.m. it's going to be circle prospecting. So that will be for an open house, for your own listing, etc. That is an awesome and free form of lead gen. And honestly, I think that there's some of the easier cold calls to make. So if you're not open to cold calls and yet want to learn more about them, that's a great class to tune into. Other classes that we have coming up this week that you can join, and you can see these on our calendar for the office, but number 1 today at 3 is Supreme has news you can use. Really good stuff for both you and to share with your clients. There's a new construction class tomorrow at 11 a.m. It's via Zoom, and that's our own Paul Zakos, who used to be a builder. Super knowledgeable on that. So if you have any buyers that are looking for new construction, very good class to attend. On Wednesday is our Keller Williams Peachtree Road team meeting, 11:30 to 1 via Zoom. You will definitely be getting a calendar invite from me with the Zoom link for that. Thursday is the Live Luxury class. It is Thursday at 11. So if you are interested in looking into luxury properties, mainly on the list side, then that is a great class to attend with our own Lisa Pinson. On Friday, every Friday, is Supreme's Credit Essentials class at 1 p.m. And I think, let me look at who's on the call. At least one of y'all attended that last week and said it was really good. It might have been Robert, who I don't see on this call.
Actually, I did, Katie.
Oh wait, Jeff, was it you?
Yep.
Yeah, can you
Yep.
give us a little insight on what you found helpful about that?
So I know that there was a lot of great information. The one thing that I didn't know that maybe a client wouldn't know, if you monitor your credit, say via Credit Karma, they're not giving you, I guess, what your true FICO score is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a different FICO score for a mortgage. I believe it's called a mortgage FICO.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I learned was that if your, say, Credit Karma score was 800, it could actually be 100 points less for your mortgage FICO. And I didn't know that. So that's something I think great to tell our clients,
Mm-hmm.
and then let them come join the call and then work with Supreme to find
Yes.
out, where they stand and what they can do to get their mortgage FICO credit score increased. Because she did say, one of the things that Lisa said, which was really great as well, is that not everything on your credit report needs to be cleaned up. If it's,
Mm-hmm.
there's certain things, and she said she's really good at reviewing a credit report and determining what is best to work on now to fix that score. So it was really
Yes.
informative.
Yeah, no, great. Thank you. So I'll have buyers that they're like, oh, Credit Karma said it went up 50 points. And that's great. I'm glad that Credit Karma shows that it's increasing as opposed to decreasing. And yet only a mortgage lender can really see the items that are important whenever you're looking at your credit score in terms of mortgage. So that is a very helpful class. And like Jeff was saying, your clients can come on it as well. Share the link with them. There's a class this Saturday. It's not only for our dual career peeps. Last Saturday was more just kind of the same as what we talked about on Monday. This Saturday is open for anyone in our whole office. Dory is teaching how to make $150,000 in 40 weeks. So that is this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm sorry, yeah, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Believe it or not, you can make $150 in 40 weeks, and she will show you how. And then last but not least, next Tuesday, we have the DocuSign and Command classes again. So that is DocuSign because now you can't get back into Dotloop. And then 2, Command, it's your opportunities and commissions. So if you want to get paid on the work that you're doing, please attend those classes. Kristen and Lori will be doing those next Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 12 noon. We may start be able to do the one-on-ones with me in person in July. So stand by on that one, waiting to see if we can approve doing our one-on-ones. We will likely still be doing group coaching via Zoom still, because we have 21 coachees on this call, and we can't fit everyone in the main training room, social distancing just yet. So those may not be happening till August. So good news for those of you who are at work and listening in, aka Jeff. And then we have an Ignite schedule that's coming soon. We're trying to do an online Ignite for the month of June. It'll be 2 weeks and 2 days. And then we'll put an in-person one in for July and August.
I had, so get over there.
I'm muting one of you. Okay, great. Okay, any questions about our schedule for the next week or so? I'm looking over here. Yeah, so props to Jeff. Thank you for sharing all that. And it's an awesome class. I think it's just an hour every Friday at 1, and it's on our calendar. You can find the Zoom link. Next little announcement, make sure that you are checking the Productivity Coaching Group Facebook page. I'm putting tips on there, putting shout outs to people whenever y'all do awesome things, putting out there any open houses that the listing agent needs a host for. They are so wanting y'all to take their open houses. They have so many listings right now, which is great, and yet they can only hold one at a time. I'll also post every Friday who the agent on call is for the weekend. So Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, you'll know who you can reach out to if you have questions. This weekend will be Victor Collins, our ALC member and fellow coach. So any questions, announcements, emotional outbursts that y'all want to virtual? Perfect. So Tiffany wants to know if we're still doing virtual open houses or kind of back to normal. There's a bunch of people that for a couple of weeks now have been doing normal open houses. And when I say normal, I mean normal for COVID, in that you still have a mask on, limit the number of people who are coming in and out at one time. And, but yeah, no, we're back to doing them live. I would say it would probably be best to find a vacant property to hold an open house at. This is just my suggestion. And I would always err on the side of caution and wear a mask, just because there will be some people who are sensitive, you know, and I want to make sure that you are making the largest audience of people as happy as can be. So let's see if anyone has trouble getting in. Nope, I think everyone's here. Perfect. So before we share, I'm going to share my screen with y'all to go over Command. You may want to make the Zoom window like half of your screen. So don't have it as a full screen, because I would love, love, love if y'all are able to do your newsletter along with me, and we'll both do them together. So if you want to make the Zoom window just half of your computer screen, if you're on your phone, I don't know what to tell you. So if you're on your phone for Zoom, but you're in front of a computer, that may be best. But if you're on your computer, have the internet browser up on one half and the Zoom up on the other half. I will show y'all a finished product of a newsletter that Kristen and I put together. And then I'll show you really quickly how to do it. And then we're going to go through it step by step together so that we all have a newsletter made by 1 p.m. today. So, I mean, Kristen and I literally threw this together. Kristen, how long did this take us? Maybe 10 minutes.
I think that's all we had was 10 minutes.
Yes. So command was being really finicky for me. So I had to hack into Kristen's command and do it from hers last minute because it wasn't working for me all morning. Literally, y'all, once you know how to do this, you can just make your monthly newsletter in 10 minutes every month. And then it just goes out to all your peeps and it's awesome. So let me prep my screen to share with y'all. Again, if you see the side of my face, I'm sorry, I just have a dual screen situation. All right. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna share my screen. And let me make sure I can see all of y'all. Can everyone see this? Welcome home, Kristen, command screen here. Thumbs up. Perfect, thank you, Kenneth. Okay, so awesome. The first thing we're gonna do is get into your command, please. Command.kw.com. And we're gonna go here to campaigns. Stand by. Okay, fabulous. So I want to show y'all really quickly the one that Kristen and I made this morning. If I'm honest with you, we're kind of new to this too because this just started in Command. I'm really familiar with how we were doing it in eEdge, which is the database that we had pre-Command for KW. So we're learning as well. Can't wait to learn alongside of you. So here is a copy of the one that Kristen and I made just to kind of give you a idea of what the finished product looks like. Well, 75% done looks like. So it has here her information. It's branded to her, whatever photo you want to use, the headline. Here's one section. Here's another section. We didn't finish sections 3 and 4 because we kind of didn't know what else we wanted to put in our newsletter yet. Kristen's information again, and then our office's information. So that is just to give you an idea of what the finished product is going to look like. This is fully customizable to what y'all want to do. So, okay, in campaigns. Okay, so click on campaigns here on the left-hand side. You're gonna see at the top, create a new campaign. Click on that, please. And then we're gonna click email. When you click email, some of y'all may see at the bottom that you're not synced to MailChimp yet. Go ahead and sync to MailChimp. Does anyone see that?
I do, and I don't have a MailChimp account, I don't believe.
Fun fact, you may need to go ahead and make one real quick. Takes, I don't know, Kristen, how long did it take you? 2-3 minutes?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Yeah, 3 minutes to set it all up.
Okay.
In order to do any kind of auto email from your command to your database, you will have to sync up your MailChimp. So go ahead and click email. If you automatically get in, that's awesome. Just pause. If you need to sync up with MailChimp, please go ahead and do that. That's the only way to continue. You will have to do that in order to keep seeing what we're seeing.
Hey, Katie, I'm not getting a MailChimp specific message, but I am getting saying this channel is not connected yet. Do you want to connect? Is that what you're referring to?
That's it.
Oh,
Okay.
When I hit connect.
This is why Kristen is here.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So I'm gonna just give it another minute to let everyone. How do I get to create? The create button should be in the top right. It's a blue button in the top right once you click on campaigns. Okay, so we're gonna name our campaign. What do we want to name this campaign? Let's just for funsies call it monthly newsletter. Kristen and I already created a monthly newsletter, so let's name this something different. We'll do monthly newsletter -June. maybe. Name it whatever you want. This is your campaign. And you don't have to do yours exactly like mine. This is your business. I want you to do whatever you want with your own newsletter. This is going to your database, not mine. It's already going to have which account you're in. It's already should have auto-populated your name and your email. The from. Let's create a subject. This is what's going to be in the subject line when it pops up into your database's email inbox. This needs to be something that actually gets them to click on it. And if you are a member of any kind of online thing that sends you auto emails every month, you know exactly which ones you don't want to click on because it's just spam and you didn't ask to be on this email list. Don't make it something generic where they're just going to click, highlight, delete. You want them to click on this and see your information and have you be top of mind for them. So mine has always been called What's Up Atlanta and then the month and the year. That's what I've always called mine. I think it's very generic. That being said, don't send that to someone who's not in Atlanta because it's not going to be relevant to them. It can be whatever you want the subject line to be. My suggestion is that you make it as interesting to the audience as possible. So once you have that, you can click Apply Design. I want to point out real quick, you can always save as a draft and it'll go back to the main campaign website. We don't have to save anything yet. We haven't created anything yet. So questions so far? Is everyone synced with MailChimp? Has everyone filled out this part? And type in the chat if you need us to slow down, go back, etc.
I haven't, Katie, but go ahead and move on.
Okay, perfect.
That's fine.
Jeff is good. I saw Kenneth typing, but maybe he was just filling it in. Okay, I think we're good. I'm gonna move on, okay? And keep in mind, you don't have to have any of this filled out yet to just go ahead and click Apply Design. So Apply Design. I would love if we're all in the same newsletter style. So if you can go ahead and click Newsletter Style 1, that would be awesome. Once you're here, and the reason why I had to jump into Kristen's is because mine just kept the blue thingy just kept going around and around. Is everyone in this or do you have the blue thingy?
No, I'm in it.
Okay, perfect. So as you can see, Kristen stuff auto-populated some items already because this is what she already has saved in her command under her account. So if you're not seeing your photo, if you're not seeing your full name and your phone number and Keller Williams Peachtree Road, that means whenever we're done with this, like that's okay. Whenever we're done with this, please go into the account for your command and put in your headshot, put in all of your information so that it will auto-populate on everything for command from now on. So first things we're gonna do is, it actually has the I capitalized for second letter. So I'm gonna fix that to be a lowercase I. And then as I click out of the box, you can see it changed. I'm also going to put in, since Kristen's not an agent, she doesn't have an agent website. I'll just go ahead and do mine. kstaples.kw.com. Perfect. Auto changed over here on this side. Are we good so far? Pretty fab. It's asking for a URL. It's asking for license number, designations, etc. I'm just going to put my license number in. I don't know my app URL off the top of my head, and you can put in that in the designations if you'd like. It already has her headshot auto-populated from her account settings, and it already has our office logo. Yes, perfect. Thank you, Kristen. Awesome. So then it's going to ask, what banner do you want at the top here? What do you want this first picture to be? It can be, I would very much suggest that it is real estate and or Atlanta relative. So the one that Kristen and I downloaded was just an Atlanta skyline. And I'm going to do a wide angle for that. Okay, so to do that, if there's already something there, If you don't like the one that you chose, just delete it. But where it says drag and drop or browse your files, click. And then pick an image that you have saved on your computer. I literally just went to Google Image, so I just picked an Atlanta skyline. Maybe you want it to be one of your listings. Maybe you want it to be, I don't know, just any pretty house. I would suggest that it is specific to you or your business or the city that we live in. So I don't want this to be square because it's the entire banner. I want it to be wide. And then I'm gonna crop image and it should automatically pop up. Questions so far? Perfect. So then in the large headline section, this is gonna be like the main, your main thing. So this is gonna be for me, what's up Atlanta? And then it is June 2020. It can be whatever you want. If you want it to be what's up Atlanta, cool. Doesn't matter to me. If you want it to be Atlanta real estate, June 2020, awesome. Questions so far on main photo, this banner, the headlines, are we good? MailChimp. Okay, David, for right now, you may just want to follow along and then we can help connect your MailChimp here in a little bit. Mine automatically went. You know what? I think you have to open up your email and click, yes, this is my email, and like activate your MailChimp account before it will sync, if that makes sense. Okay, so in these 4 sections, they give you 4 sections. I don't know why they give you 4 sections. That's just whatever this template is. That is for template number 1. I like to do a combination of real estate and other things because I don't want to shove real estate down my people's face or they're not going to want to talk to me. So what I used to do is have a featured listing and show a pretty picture of either my most recent listing or just a pretty listing in our office. And then in the description, I would do whatever it was from the FMLS, whatever the description was there. So maybe you want that to be events coming up in Atlanta. Maybe you want it to be some housekeeping tips. Maybe it's spring cleaning, whatever you want it to be. So for mine, I'm going to do featured listing. And that's going to be the same section headline every single time I send out my What's Up Atlanta. I'm going to have the same format. I'm going to do a featured listing. My section 2 is going to be different events for the area. So section headline is going to be the address. Out of it, it'll automatically update over there. And then let me copy and paste this. Oops, where are we? Okay. Just copy and pasted the description from the multiple listing service. Questions on filling that stuff out? Good? Perfect. So then the photo that I want to use is just the first photo from the multiple listing service from our listing, 1100 Old Tucker. Now, for this one, you don't want to, even though it is a landscape photo as opposed to portrait, I don't suggest doing a wide angle because this is what's going to happen as Kristen and I figured this out. If you do a wide angle to fit the entire home, it's just going to be condensed kind of oddly in here. Does that make sense? So what I would do is I would actually just do square and just put whatever the best part of the house is. So there you go. Boom. Better than it being condensed. It just does, it looks like you don't know how to do formatting if you have a wide thing that gets condensed like that, right? I didn't do the full FMLS description because it went so long that it was below the photo, and I like that this looks a little bit neat. That being said, in order to not get in trouble with GREC, I have to do a couple different things whenever I show a property is on the market. So does anyone remember what those minimum three things are that you have to have anytime you're advertising a home for sale? There are 3 things. One of them is already on there. So one is taken care of. Anyone? Bueller? Okay, first thing is the address. Hooray, I've already done that. Good for me. The second thing is I have to have the brokerage name, so Keller Williams Peachtree Road, and I have to have the brokerage phone number. So what I'm gonna do is delete that part. You see how it took it away over here? And I'm gonna put Keller Williams Peachtree. And correct phone number. Perfect. So now, yay, I'm in compliance. So just make sure that you're not getting yourself in trouble. Always put the brokerage phone number, the name of the brokerage, and the address whenever you list a property as for sale. Perfect. Questions about section 1? Right. So let's go down to section number 2. I don't want this to be all about real estate because it's called What's Up Atlanta. So hey, what's going on in Atlanta? I want this to be what's happening. Again, that's going to be the same title for every single month that I have. And what I'm going to do for headline 2 in this location is events in June. Boom. Now, this part is a little tricky because the formatting, it only gives you but so wide of an area to kind of type. So I literally just went to where did we go, Kristen? Eventbrite.com?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went to eventbrite.com and we literally just Googled events that were going on in Atlanta at the time, or for the month of June. So I don't have that window pulled up anymore. If I do this, can you see a new tab or no?
Yep.
You can see a new tab? Okay, cool. So I literally did June events Atlanta. And I went to Eventbrite. Do this however you want. I think I used to go to Facebook events and I would put in a date range. So we did this brunch. I like to do a combination of concerts, educational things, family-oriented things, sports games whenever they're at home, etc. Just whatever your peeps would be interested in. But I like to really make it diverse, both in the type of event as well as what part of Atlanta it's in. So some downtown, some OTP. So we had brunch at Urban City Market as our first one. So that's Saturday the 13th at 1 p.m. So brunch, Urban City Market, Saturday, June 13th at 1 p.m. And then you'll see that pop up. Perfect. So that's one I want to add. Let's look for another one. I want to do Welding 101. You know, I think I'm going to skip Welding 101 for right now. I don't want them to all be on the same day either. Oh. Some of these things are not the most appropriate I've ever seen in my life. Heavens. Okay, so let's just pretend like we already found some things. So I would put in here event, location, date, time. That makes sense? And then you could put as many as you want in there. You don't have to do events, just a suggestion. This is just what I do. And then the picture that I choose for right here is, I think I just picked a picture of the brunch from the brunch we were talking about. Picked a pretty spot of the photo, skirt, and ta-da. What questions do y'all have so far? Are you good? Good still? So another section.
Katie, were you able to crop that right out of online? I just saw that.
Yeah, I just.
How did you do that?
I right-clicked and saved image to my desktop.
Oh, you did. Okay. At first, I thought
I
you
had
were
already
just
saved it before. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
I thought maybe I was missing something. I was like, oh.
No. Hash right-click, save as. So section 3, another thing I really like to do when I had the newsletter in eEdge before, and I can show you an example of this because you still have access to this, and they have really good little short snippets of homeowner kind of information. Is if you go to your MyKW, can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Go to your MyKW. And you click on your view contacts. I'm going to show you real quick. Don't feel the need to follow along just yet. I can give you step by step later on. If you go to marketing and then campaigns, they have a newsletter in here too. And I like to take the information from it because it's already made. So let's see. Again, I can give you the steps for these a little bit later, but I just want to show you real quick. Has quarantine forced you to consider a split from your home? Lovely. I'm just going to copy and paste this because Keller Williams gives me the ability to. So I don't want all of it. I just want a couple good. How do you do this? Personalize. Perfect. I'm just going to copy and paste this because I want to. And that's going to be my section 3. Put whatever you want in section 3. I'm just going to copy and paste it. You see how long it is though? I mean, that's a lot. I would go in and take several sentences out, make it shorter, whatever you want to do. Just want to give you some ideas in here. Glad you brought these up. Yes, Tiffany, if you already have those created in eEdge, they will continue to go. Now, that being said, as you can see in eEdge, these auto-populate. Keller Williams makes this for you. This has been on pause for me because I'm in command now and I don't do anything in eEdge anymore. But you can go to whatever the current month is, click personalize, and you can copy and paste all this that you want because you pay for Keller Williams stuff. This is a little too much real estate. I think it's kind of blah. So I would always add in my fun calendar, my featured listing, a pretty picture, etc. But yes, that information is still in eEdge for y'all to use. So let's go back here. Headline 3, what do we want to call this? We're going to news you can use. Steal that from Supreme. Thank you, Supreme. And then has quarantine got you thinking? And you want it to be short, so it's only one line. Perfect. And then I may go in here and maybe I'll delete, I'll delete a whole paragraph, whatever. I would shorten it up for sure. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that photo. Because I feel like taking the photo. So right click, save image as. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Pick 3. Picture 3. That's close enough. It's got the people in it. Again, I don't want a wide one because then it's going to be all condensed and look funny. Beth, can I answer that when we are done with this? Shanks. Perfect. So again, there's a lot of words here for how little the photo is. One thing you can do is crop the photo and do vertical, or I think you can do full portrait. If you have a different photo than this that is portrait, and then maybe it's only going to be that size. I don't know. Pick whatever photo makes you happiest. Well, now we done messed it up. Anyway, just pick whatever photo makes you happy. There you go. Perfect. So that is section 3. So to recap, I got a cute little banner. Make it whatever you want. I would suggest that it's something to do with Atlanta, real estate, you, etc. Maybe it's a picture of you on your front lawn with your family in front of your house, and then people, get to see you as an actual human being and not just someone that calls them asking for referrals. You can do a featured listing if you want. You can do events in Atlanta. You can do home buyer tips, etc. And then section 4, does anyone have a real, I don't know, I'm out. I used to only do those 3 sections. So who has a great idea for section 4? Because I'm out of ideas, and Kristen and I can't figure out how to delete section 4. So if we knew how to delete section 4, I would just take it out because I think that 3 is enough. However, quarantine things, perfect. Perfect. It can be something seasonal. There you are. Perfect. So yes, you have like your little, like a little article, a little baby article, and then maybe you have June house tips, or let's see, seasonal tips. And this section here will be June to-dos. This is precious. Let's do this. Okay, so gutters, and what else do we do? What else do we do in June? Ooh, a recipe. Ooh, Vicky, I like that. I like that. I like the recipe thing a lot. That's super cute. Clean gutters, weed garden, I don't know. Change HVAC filter. That might be something that every other month you have like a seasonal to do. I'm running out of things to do. Replace batteries in a fire, the smoke detector. And then you can just, let's Google image, clean gutters. All gutters right though. Images. Oof, he needs to be careful. All right, we're gonna use this one. This one's great. Save image as on my desktop. I'm gonna save my gutters. Go back to here. Add my gutter photo. Oh, there's Grandpa. Okay, great. Perfect. So I like, maybe you do like a seasonal tip one month, then you do like the recipe thing the other month. Like, I love that. I think that's really cute. This is that, you know what, I'm gonna steal that, Vicki. That's a great idea. This is 100% how for you and your database. If you are a gardener and you want to do like a featured, I don't know, in spring you talk about bulbs, in winter you can talk about things that did you know that you can actually grow vegetables outside in winter? There's just a couple different types of vegetables that you can. You can do things like that for gardening tips. I love the recipe thing. If you're part of a hobby and most people in your database are in that sphere, it can be events coming up for that. Like I used to do American Ninja Warrior. I would do like maybe a calendar of what local events are coming up, our competitions and whatever. Yeah, perfect. I love that, Vicki. You're very creative with that. Okay, perfect. So then once we're done with section 4, since we can't figure out how to delete it and it has to be in there, you'll see footer. So this should already be filled out for you because you should have it already in your account for your whole command. If you need our brokerage license number, it is H44680.
Will you repeat that again?
One more time.
The brokerage license number, will you repeat that one more time for us?
Yeah, it is H-44680.
680.
Yes, ma'am.
H-44680.
Correct. If any of this stuff isn't auto-populating for you, go into your command settings and change it so that it does. It has team name. We're not on a team. If you were on a team, I mean, I used to be on Barnes Young team, and then you could put your team logo if you want, but leave it if it doesn't apply. Perfect. What questions do we have? Now I'm going to hit apply design. It's going to be like, you didn't fill out this field. Well, guess what? I don't
Hey,
fill out this field.
you know, another idea, Katie, I think for, since we have to have 4 sections, is to contact if you have any, what do we call them, referral partners,
Perfect.
you know, like a favorite
Perfect.
flooring company or something. Well, and the benefit is when you contact, I mean, I was just thinking about it, when you contact them and you ask them, hey, I'd like to feature you in this newsletter, it'd be a very natural time for them to say, oh, you know what, and I was thinking about so-and-so, they want to sell their house. So it's a great, right? Because you're
Putting in all kinds of
gonna
section
publicize
ideas.
them. Right, yeah.
Preferred
So if you
vendor.
have any vendors that are, you know, that you're friends with, like, well, no, Vicki, yours is a Keller Williams company. But anyways, it's just, you know, if you feature a vendor, then I think they're going to be more likely to remember you to, to
It needs
refer.
to be useful, because here's the thing. You know how many people I get an auto email from, and I don't open it because I know what it is. I'm on their auto email. I don't want to hurt their feelings by unsubscribing, because then they're going to get a notification. So I don't even open it to delete it. I just highlight it, check the box, and then hit delete. So yeah, this needs to be something that is going to be opened by your peeps, and only you know what your peeps want, and it needs to be your personality. I would just very much shy away from shoving real estate down their throat. You want this to be useful in many different aspects and appeal to a wide audience, because some of the people in your command may be FISBOs. Maybe they're buyers that you met at an open house that are like 6 months off from buying. Maybe it's your friends, whatever. Maybe it is your real estate referral partners in a city that you used to live in, because you have a lot of friends and family there, and you just want to make sure that they're sending you all their Atlanta business. And so you can pick whatever you want. So I clicked apply design. It doesn't like that I left a couple of things blank, but I don't care. So I'm going to go back to templates and click out of it. It's saved everything. So if I want to save it as draft at this point, save and exit. Bing. So here's the one that Kristen and I made this morning. So I'll show you that one. It was not as complete as the second one that we did. We stopped at section 2. So this is what it looks like. Go back. And then click on the 3 dots to edit campaign. Perfect. And then we can preview. What is this going to look like when I open it up? Cool. Saved all my stuff. Got to shorten that one. Got to add some stuff to the June to-dos, but y'all get the idea. A feature that I love, 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 because that took us, I don't know, if you knew how to do it and we weren't waiting for everyone and answering questions, I mean, it's going to take you 10, 15 minutes. What I really like, back to emails, I didn't make any changes, so I'm not going to save. If you go to these 3 dots, you can duplicate campaign, duplicate and customize. Well, this is fun. Now I can do my July one and just swap out what I need to for July. So bing, bing. What's up, Atlanta? July 2020. Ooh, hell. Got too excited. July 2020. Save as draft. And then whenever I'm ready to do my July one, I can go in there, put a new featured listing, put a new recipe, whatever I want to do, put the new events in, but at least the template is created. So let's say I'm getting ready to send my July one out, edit that campaign. And update design. Okay, so obviously my information's still all the same. Maybe I mix up the banner. Maybe I leave it the same just so that it's uniform. It's always going to be What's Up Atlanta, but this time it's. I do like having featured listing here every time, but it's obviously going to be a different listing. So new address, new description. If you don't have a listing, you know that there are agents that are more than happy for you to advertise their listing. I would get permission first, but no one's going to say no to you. It's happening. I like that it's what's happening. But guess what? Events in July. And then I'm going to put July 15th, Katie's birthday. And just swap out what you want to swap out. Go to your e-edge, whatever another article is for the next month. But at least you have things saved in here. And then you can just duplicate for August. So, hooray. Who has questions? Pam, we're birthday twins.
Katie, this is Jeff. I have a quick question. When you're doing the newsletter, does it have to send out to all of your contacts, or can you kind of cherry pick who you want
ask
to
a
send
really
to?
great question. So monthly newsletter for June. What we're going to do is edit. Then it goes to, and there is a way to do everyone in your database, or you can tag them if they're getting your monthly newsletter. So if I had in my command a tag that said monthly newsletter, then I could look for it here and everyone with a tag would get it. I don't know that I want every single person in there getting it.
Okay, so if I have a tag that says Atlanta, because I have a lot of contacts in my list that are out of state. So if I have one that says Atlanta, I can just say, pick the Atlanta tag, and it'll send it like what's happening in Atlanta to my Atlanta peeps. Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, so other than that, that's what I got so far. Just going to be honest with you. I think I would put a tag on all of your contacts. That is going to require you to go through your contacts. But let's talk about that, because I think it's very important to get clarity what I want your contacts to ideally look like. Kristen, do you have contacts in here?
A couple.
Okay. Oh, so you have like all of our peeps. Okay, great. So I'm not going to click in here because I don't want to mess up her stuff. But what I would really, really love to see is that all of your contacts have a phone number, an email address, else they can't get your newsletter, and preferably a physical address. Robert, yes, this will be on our YouTube page. And the reason that it's really great to go into each contact and have to add a tag, like you can see new agent. So as people join our office, Kristen puts them in her command. It's really great to have to go back through and add this specific tag, because you should be doing care calls to your sphere anyway. And what a great reason to call them and say, hey, I'm doing a new newsletter with Atlanta events and this, that, and the other. I don't have your email address. What's a good one for you? I won't spam you. It's just for my newsletter once a month. And you can get their contact information while doing a quick little care call for them. Boom, baby. Two birds, one stone. Okay, if y'all need any more help with this, I'm going to copy and paste that information into the chat box real quick. There you go. Take a photo, whatever you want. So that is Scott Leroy Marketing. That's who Keller Williams gets their help from. And then I also have two quick YouTube videos, the ones that I watched to teach myself this. One's like 2.5 minutes, one's like 6 minutes. So there you go. There's Scott Leroy website and email if you want to ask questions, or there's two YouTube links. Real quick, 2.5 and 6 minutes on how to do this. This will also be uploaded to our YouTube page. Easy peasy, yeah?
Hey, Katie, it's somewhat unrelated, but I remember the last time we were on the call with Chris Yates, and he told us how to do the landing page.
Yeah.
At that time, he said that in May, there were going to be command classes for how to do update our website. And since our website is on here and it's required to be on here, and I went to my website on Friday and I noticed I think it's been taken down.
Oh.
How do I didn't see anything. I mean, I saw the coffee and command classes, but I didn't see anything about command specifically and updating our website. Do you know when those are going to be offered?
So he was probably not talking specifically about our office offering those. He was probably talking about within the Rawls group or within, like, sometimes FMLS does those classes.
Yeah, kind of like how they did the landing pages. Remember we did the landing page one with them?
Yeah, that was one for all of Keller Williams to join in on, and that was the productivity coach from the Smyrna Vinings office holding that. Let me give you a quick rundown while we have a couple more minutes on where you can go to look into that. Go back to campaigns. Again, if you want to look at the ones that we've already created, you can click emails, because we created the email ones. Here they are. Boop, boop. You want to create a social media post. You can see these are paid. You have to pay for those to create them. Play red light, green light with your expenses. I would only be paying for things that you know you're going to have a good return on. You can create a social media post here, a direct mailer here, or an email here. If you want to go down to designs, this is where you can create a landing page, some other ideas here. But if you click on landing page, create one now. Okay. I don't remember where to go from that class. Do you remember that, Suzanne?
Yeah, I really meant have you heard anything about if we're going to have the same similar class for our website? You know how we had that.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay, because they said that it was going to be in May, and I didn't hear.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, Kristen?
Yeah, no, I would. Cara is who gets classes put on the schedule. That is her realm. And so I can definitely put in her ear some more tech classes. So
I can speak a little bit to it if that's okay.
Oh, good. Thank you, Kristen. Go.
Okay, so we know that we need classes on websites. I am working on it, but we're also trying to see if we can get Denise, who did the landing pages, back in to speak more about it, because she's done it at a much higher level than I have. I will say a great place to start is to do the Kelly guide within your within that consumer applet in Command. So if you haven't done anything you've done that?
I've done that. Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking to customize
our
more?
website.
Yeah, the Kelly
the
guide
website
is
that versus the.
There's a Kelly guide specifically for the website.
Oh, okay. The one I had was for our app. So okay, my bad.
Okay, yeah, there's a Kelly guide for both. So I would suggest that. I can also send you some resources that KW has put out. That's kind of where I'm pointing people at this point, just because I'm not, I don't know it at a super high level, and obviously not being an agent, I'm not really using it. So I'm just learning it for the sake of teaching you guys. And we do know it's a need, so we're trying, but.
Okay, it was really just because in that last class, she said we're going to do that in May, and so I was looking for it, and then I never saw it. So that's the only reason.
You haven't missed it. It just hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Right. But this is Suzanne Witkowski. So if you send me those, and I'm doing the 66-day challenge too.
Okay.
So maybe I'll get through it in there. I just wanted to make sure.
Definitely will. Yeah, he definitely covers it in there and does a really good job. So.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thanks, lady. Sorry. Didn't mean to
You're welcome. No, it's okay. So, okay, so David, I don't know a whole bunch about MailChimp. Mine was synced automatically. As soon as I opened up Command and started doing stuff in it about a year ago, I just synced it and it's been fine for me. Kristen, who can they speak with about MailChimp questions? Is that a Scott Leroy question?
It's actually probably just KW support.
Okay.
Yeah, if you followed all of the instructions and you're running into an error with connecting, then it's tech and it's above my ability. So there's 3 ways. There's support.com. You can email them. They have a phone number, and then you can also go through the question mark in command.
Is that Chris Yates? Is that who we're talking about?
What are you talking about, Chris?
Chris Yates. Is that who would help with that?
No.
Okay, I've heard. Okay.
No, it has to be at a much higher level than we know how-tos. When it gets into a technical problem or an error you're running,
That's above our pay grade.
because we don't have any of that back end stuff. We're just how to.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kristen, for helping. You're awesome. I appreciate you letting me log on to your command as well. So we are going to finish this up. I'm sorry about MailChimp issues. I don't know, but we're going to wrap up the command session. Thanks y'all so much for participating. We're going to start our next one on how to CMAs. So if you want to stick around, that's awesome. If not, go do awesome things with your day. Go get your lead gen in, go make your own newsletter, etc. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Katie. We appreciate
You're
it.
so welcome.
All right. Bye, all.
What's the email? Or I don't know. Kristen, what's the email for them? Do you know?
It's support@kw.com. Yeah.
Thanks, Kristen. Okay, awesome. So we're going to start off how to do a CMA with some great news. So who has something wonderful that they can share with us? Zach.
I started this morning at 7 a.m. passing out my postcards, passed out 400, and I've already got an email and someone has stopped me while I was putting the postcard in, and I've gotten them in touch with people for financing. So,
okay, so let me get this straight. You started passing out flyers this morning.
At 7 a.m. And I got done passing out 400 flyers and putting them in mailboxes. I got home, did the whole walking at 11:15, and in that time I'd already gotten an email and a whole conversation. So
yes,
even
this
if
is amazing.
Even if it turns into a rental, the $90 has already paid for itself.
Perfect.
So,
that's amazing. So let me get this straight. You spent $90 on a Canva, created something on Canva, and then I think you printed 500. Is that correct?
Printed 500. So I have 100.
Okay, for $90.
Mm-hmm.
And they're little quarter-size pieces of paper? Please share us.
This size.
Love it.
Double-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Really good quality paper.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck them on mailboxes.
Mm-hmm.
Walked to the entire neighborhood so that in case someone needed to stop and talk to me, they could.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So.
Yes. So let me get this straight. So you paid, this is great because red light, green light with our expenses, you paid $90 for 500 and then you did the footwork so that you could have some face-to-face and you saved money on postage. Because the issue is whenever people do mailers, flyers, whatever around a just listed, just sold, neighborhood farming, the biggest expense is the postage.
I did it myself.
Yeah, you did it yourself. So one, for cardio. And then 2, you got face-to-face interaction, it sounds like. And then 3, saved money. Boom, Zach, that's amazing.
And I covered an entire neighborhood that I have a house for a listing and about, I'd say, a third of my own neighborhood. It's on Canva, C-A-N-V-A. You can create your own and download the logos from the marketing on the my KW site and add in your picture, everything. They're, I mean, I've used them before. It's super easy, super quick. And
can you take one out really quickly and show them? I know I posted a picture because you created them a couple weeks ago, and I just saved the PDF of it.
Yeah.
And I
created them. It came in about 6 days. So pretty quick turnaround. Wow, they double wrap these. And I did two-sided, so I know it's backwards.
No,
But,
it's actually good.
And it says, need real estate help? Why not ask a neighborhood expert who's also a neighbor? Was able to get the Kayla Williams logo on in my, and then on the back, neighbor who's here for you, my name, phone number, email, and then my slogan that I have for myself.
Row your way home.
Row your way home.
I love it.
Back row.
So just a disclaimer, because Monique, thank you for asking this question. We cannot put anything inside a mailbox. I think technically that can be considered a federal offense. Please put things in mailboxes. Zach, did you put it underneath a flag or something?
I put it underneath the flag. I
Yeah.
put it like, if it was a wood post and it had a crack, I like put it in the crack so they'd have to take it out.
Monique's like, right. Yeah. No, Monique, please stay out of jail.
I never put it actually in the mailbox.
Good. So I've done things with neighborhood handouts before. I got clear baggies with a little door knocker. I think they're meant to go on a doorknob. Honestly, I was terrified. I'm not a big door knocking fan. It scares the mess out of me. So I put them on the flag and hung the little plastic bag with some Valentine's Day candy on it on the flag in the mailbox. So yeah, Jeff and Zach are Canva basically pros.
I love it. It's super easy. I think it took me maybe 35 minutes to design that.
You got it in a couple days too for $90 for 500.
Came in about a week, and then today was the first day I had, and passed out 400. So I got another 100 to go.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you.
And my legs are killing me because that's the most exercise I've had ever.
I love it. That's awesome. Now, I want you all to keep in mind, again, red light, green light with your expenses. If you're doing it for your own neighborhood where you own or are going to be renting for a long time, awesome. If you're doing it from a farming perspective and it's not where you live, you don't have like a tie to it necessarily, farming can be very expensive up front. It can yield great results, and yet typically you do have to do that for 6+ months before you really generate even your first listing. There are people who did it for 12 to 18 months before they got their first listing, and yet now it's awesome, and they're getting a lot of business really easily from their farm. And yet I just want to make sure that we're being as cost effective as possible. So pairing it with the going around yourself so that you have some face-to-face, follow up with a phone call. Hey, did you get that? Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm such and such. If you'll send me the streets that you walked it around to, I'm happy to give you those phone numbers and whatnot that I get from Mojo. So,
and biggest thing
for doing this, Zach, thank you for sharing.
If people were getting in their car and stuff, I did not stop them. I just said, hey, I'm going to leave my information here, and like waved and introduced myself and walked on. Like I did not stop them.
Yeah. Don't be too pushy. Cause no, I love it. I think you went about it in a really great way. That's great. Thank you for sharing, because obviously a bunch of people really like that. So a couple of housekeeping things really quickly before we get started with the CMA class. So next Monday, our groups are going to be A, B, and C, depending on how many transactions you have. I will send you only one calendar invite. I want to send you all 3 on the even Mondays, just so that you have the option to come to any of them and you know what times they are. Next week, you'll only get 1. So group A is 0 or 1 transaction, B is 2, 3, or 4 transactions closed so far, and C is 5+ transactions. The topics for our next even numbered Monday in 2 weeks will be at 12 o'clock is a buyer consultation and BBA. So what do you need to do prior to, during, and after that buyer consultation? What forms to present to them, all about the buyer brokerage form, etc. From 1 to 2 p.m. is going to be social media marketing. That will both be what you can do for free on Facebook, Instagram, maybe not Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., as well as some boosts and campaigns that you can do. And then from 2 to 3 p.m. will be circle prospecting. So that can be an open house that you're having, that can be a just listed, just sold. It's going to be primarily door knocking and calls around that. So I know that a lot of y'all have been doing that for your open houses, which I think is awesome. we'll go over scripts and how to really maximize your time doing that. Because while it's free, if it takes money or your time, and it will always take both, right? I want to make sure you're getting the best return on your investment. So perfect. And as far as other classes in the Market Center this week that y'all may want to be attending is Supreme every Monday has something called News You Can Use. It's Mondays at 3 p.m. There's a new construction class with our own Paul Zakos tomorrow at 11. It's a Zoom call, of course, and it will be all about new construction. He was a builder, so he knows the ins and outs of that. He'll give us a little bit of good information that other builders may not tell you, along with from an agent perspective as well. Then Wednesday is our weekly team meeting for the office, 11:30 to 1. On Thursday, our very own Lisa Penson will be teaching a live luxury class at 11 a.m. That is mainly from a listing standpoint. She'll go over the qualifications for being part of the luxury group, the benefits of being in that, etc. I would think that the new construction, if you could only go to one, the new construction is going to be a great benefit as a newer agent. Every Friday, Supreme has something called Credit Essentials at 1 p.m. And Jeff Perry, can you quickly explain to us what you said for the first group? Because it was good info.
Sure. So lots of great information from that class. The one thing that I learned that I did not know, that I thought if I didn't know as an agent, perhaps clients wouldn't know, is that your Credit Karma score is completely different from your FICO score, or more specifically, your mortgage FICO. And what Lisa said on the call last week was that could even, your Credit Karma score could be 100 points higher than your actual mortgage FICO score. So you can work with her, your clients can work with her, and she can review your credit report and find out what you need to work on, if anything, because also things that might be on your credit report that may be negatively impacting may not need to be addressed, because that might not have the biggest impact on that mortgage credit score.
Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
And while he was telling you about that, I basically copy and pasted from our agenda today the classes that are coming up. So I just went over all of them there, but in case you want to see what we have, there you go. Those are the classes for the next week or so. We probably will be able to start doing our one-on-ones in person in July, so stand by for that. On Saturday, did I include this? Perfect. So on Saturday, this is not just for our dual careers. Anyone can join. I think this is going to be an awesome class. Dory is teaching how to make 150K in 40 weeks. Is there anyone on this call that would not like to make 150K in 40 weeks? I'll wait. Cricket, that's what I thought. So from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. this Saturday, Dory will teach us that. And now here's the thing. You can make 150K in 40 weeks. What if you actually worked 46, 48, 50 weeks a year? It's more than 150K. Hooray. And then if you missed the DocuSign and Command classes that they had last week, they were very helpful. I had to take the DocuSign one myself. They will be next Tuesday again at 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. Our own Kristen and Lori will be teaching those. So perfect. Just a quick reminder, who else you can call besides me is going to be Kenya, Kiki, and Victor, our other coaches, Cara and Dory, if you can't reach one of us. And then just a reminder that every Friday I will post in the productivity coaching group who the agent on call is for the weekend. This weekend it will be Victor Collins. So I'll make sure that y'all know who you can access in case little Kate is intentionally taking a day off. I love everyone, and yet we all have time off, right? We learned that last week with making our schedule. Okay, so awesome. I'm going to be sharing my screen here in a minute. So one thing that you may want to do is take the Zoom window and put it on half of your screen. Just make it half of it so that you can follow along with what I'm doing. If you want to have the multiple listing service open on your own screen next to it so that you can see both, if that makes sense. Couple different ways to do CMAs. There's the cloud CMA that FMLS will kind of already populate for you. I think it's a really good quick one to use, especially if you're going to take your iPad or your laptop to your listing appointment and do it there. From that, I'm pretty old school, so I like to print out the comps and highlight key items and go over them with them there. I'm a paper calendar, print it out. I don't do the technology thing. I'm the worst millennial ever. So do whatever you feel comfortable with. Today, we're going to talk about just finding the comps basically and how to speak on them on an educated level. So questions so far? Anything in particular y'all want to learn about, please throw up a question or a topic in the chat and we'll make sure that we get to those as well. If you see half my face, your pictures are here, our agenda's here, so sorry. Whenever you're setting an appointment to go view a property and speak with the owner, first rule about CMAs, do not give them the price over the phone. The reason you're getting your foot in the door to meet with them is to see the property. I need you to see the neighborhood. I need you to see the condition of the home. Pictures hide a lot of stuff, and all y'all have shown a property where you thought it looked good in the photo and then you opened the door and it was crap. So you have to get your foot in the door. Do not give a price over the phone. Really easy script is, well, what do you think my home is worth? Well, I don't know. I haven't seen your home. Hey, can we meet Tuesday at 5 so that I can come meet you and see your property? Especially for sale by owners. Okay, you don't know what the pictures hide. You don't know how old the pictures are. You don't want to give them help in doing it themselves by giving them the appropriate price, right? So you have to see the inside of the home. You have to see the exterior, the neighborhood to give them a price. When you're setting the appointment, make sure that over the phone or in person, you're confirming the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, when did they buy, what updates and repairs they've made during ownership. Are they going to be doing anything repairs and updates wise before they list? And then do you have a price in mind? There's a bunch of other questions that you can ask, and yet these are the ones I make sure to hit every single time. So I'm going to put that in the chat just so that you have a list going. So confirm number of beds, number of baths. Just because the tax record says 3-bed doesn't mean that they didn't do a major overhaul and add a new master on the main or something like that. When did they buy? Ask what updates and repairs they've made during their ownership. Are they going to do any others before they list? They may not know. They may want to see what you have to say. Cool. That sounds to me like they're at least open to it. And then do you have a price in mind? Does anyone know why we might want to know what price they have in mind before we actually get in the car? Anyone? Feel free to write it in the chat or, oh, Nadej, perfect. I see that your hand is raised, but I don't know what to do after that. I'm sorry. Do I just unmute you? What do I do?
Wait, sorry, I didn't mean to push the hand raise thing.
Okay, well, while we have you, why don't you just go ahead and
answer your question? I was about to answer your question and I raised my hand instead of typing in the chat.
Yeah. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say it's important to kind of have an idea of, you know, what price they have in mind, because I call it bursting their bubble, because you may have to do that.
Yes, you may. And I will say more often than not, do sellers want more than what their property is worth or less than what their property is worth?
Or
exactly. Say this. This is your business. I want you to run your business however you want. Take it from Real Estate Kate. If they are so overly priced and they're very headstrong about that, it may not be worth your time to go on that appointment. Business or no business going on in your pipeline. And you know, it's always great experience, and yet I want you to be doing what's most effective with your time. And so if there's going to be someone who is just so outrageous and unrealistic, just keep in mind, you can turn down listings. Your time and your marketing dollars are valuable. You are valuable. And it is okay to turn down people for an appointment, and it is okay to turn them down there in person. You just got to grow the cojones to do it, and it's awesome. Yeah, perfect, Trina. Thank you. So understand what their motivation is. Why are you selling? What's an example of a motivation for selling that would make me super happy and run to the appointment? Zach. And also, y'all just unmute yourself and talk.
They need to upgrade, so they need another house, but they need more room for the family.
I love a good buy sell. Oh, baby, I love a good buy sell because then I get two different sides of the transaction. Love it. Yeah, maybe they have to move. One of my other favorites is whenever they have a good time crunch. Like, oh, well, we have to move so that the kids get into the new school district, whatever. Anyone else?
That's what I was about to say, job relocation.
Yes, job relocation, perfect. That one's great because again, that has a time bound situation on it too. It's not just that you have to move by a certain time, and time is money. And if your house doesn't sell quickly because it's overpriced, then you're not going to get there in time for that job to start. So I love something that's time bound because then it helps me to price it accurately so that we go under contract quickly. But no, all good answers, perfect. Understand motivation, make sure that you have the accurate information on the house, etc. So what I do first, I'm going to share my screen now. So let me prep my screen share situation for that. We're going to go to FMLS. Perfect. Okay, can you all see FMLS? Awesome. Okay, so this is just still open from what we were doing before. So whenever you first have an appointment, what I like to do is go to the Realist report. So under Public Records, go to Realist Tax. And then you wait. Perfect. So let's use the example for the house that was just listed on there. That's one of my listings, 1100 Old Tucker. I made the appointment with the older son and the father. However, you're going to see in a second that the house is actually in the mother's name. So this is the wife. So yes, I made the appointment with the older son and the father, and yet guess who has to sign all of my documents? The mom. So one thing I like to do when I set the appointment is, are there any other decision makers that need to be present for our appointment? And they may say, well, decision makers, what do you mean? Well, who is on the deed? And then is there anyone not on the deed who is going to be, helping to make this decision for your family? So the wife is actually a very silent partner in this property. The dad and the brother, the dad and the son are really the ones that are making the decision, but she has to be the one to sign. So that's one thing that you want to confirm. And what I'll do is I'll confirm that the number of square footage, the beds, the bath, etc., on the tax record is what they told me on the phone. And if there's a discrepancy and they say, oh no, it's 4 bedrooms, but in the tax record it says 3. Oh, okay. Hey, I see here on the tax record it says 3 bedrooms. Can you tell me about the 4th bedroom? Maybe the 4th bedroom is in the basement and it's not daylight. That is not going to be the same as a 4th bedroom on a main level. So you want to know as much about the property and confirm things on the tax record. Now, it could say on here, one thing you want to pay attention to, flood zone. If it's X, you're good. If it's anything with the letter A, you're going to need to pay attention to that because that can affect the saleability of a home. You might want to look at characteristics is really good. I like to look at the basement situation. It says here that this home has unfinished basement space of 1,700 square foot. Fun fact, when he bought it, it was unfinished. He finished it. So you just want to kind of confirm it's almost 3/4 of an acre. So that one was correct. It is 3-sided brick. So you just want to confirm, that everything in here, for example, tax records, 5. But the MLS says 6. Tax record says 4 baths. MLS says 7. That's because they finish the basement. It is daylight. It does have 2 beds and 2 bathrooms in the basement there. So just confirm everything is good. What is next on my list? Oh, what I will then do is with this realist report, I will save it. So I go to print, quick print. And then it just automatically saves it here. Then I will rename it. So let's rename this guy. Why isn't it opening? Open. Okay, so just rename it, and I name it as 1100 Old Tucker Road, so the address, realist report. And then what I do is I attach that PDF, it's about 3 pages long. I attach this to the email where I send over the pre-list kit, or I'll print it out in color and I'll have it couriered with the pre-list kit. It just depends. Do I want it to get to them immediately because our appointment's for the next 24 hours? Do I want it to be in print? It's up to you. But I'll make sure that this goes over to them with the pre-list kit, and I ask them, please look over my pre-list presentation. Hopefully we'll answer any questions that you may have before our appointment. I'd also love if you can see if there's any discrepancies in this report. There was one thing where I listed a house where he had rebuilt it from the crawl space up. So in the tax records, it said it was a 1956 home. It was rebuilt and completely rebuilt in 2011. So the tax record says 1956. When the appraiser went out there, he actually was only looking for like 1956 homes. He didn't know that it had been rebuilt since 2011. They don't read the description in the MLS. So just confirm that everything is good there. I had to get my seller on that property to go to the county and update the records. Okay, what do you mean daylight in the basement? Perfect. So daylight would be that it has a wall of windows and doors in the back. Preferably at least the back wall and a side is daylight. The thing is, if you have a fully underground, no windows basement, there's just no way that's going to appraise as an actual bedroom. So it's a finished room in a basement. If you have a walkout basement where that room is in the back half, like it slopes down from the front bedroom to the back bedroom, where you can walk out, it'll appraise a little bit closer to a bedroom. It depends if you have all the square footage above grade. I'm not going to get into all that. Just daylight is windows and doors. Can you include that square footage in the total gross living area? That's a great question. It depends. When you look at the comps, you really need to see, are they including that square footage? It's not going to be the same kind of square footage in a basement. It's not going to be worth as much as if it were the square footage on the main level or the second level, because it's a basement. It's not worth the same. Can you call it a bedroom? You know what? These are all fun questions. Legally, what do I say to you? Let's see. Again, if it is above grade, which means let's say a house, the hill goes like this. Here's the front of the house, 2 stories. Here's the back of the house, 2 stories, and a walkout basement. If the bedroom is in the back of the house here and it's all above ground, it's a lot more likely to appraise as a bedroom, but most appraisers are good and they will use it as a bedroom basement. So that's all that I'm going to answer about the bedrooms, just so that I don't get in trouble. We'll do an appraisal class. I think that's a great thing to do. Stand by. Because there's so much that goes into appraisals that you'll need to know about. Okay, perfect. So find the property, save it, courier it with your pre-list kit, and or attach it to the email with the pre-list kit and send it over to them. So our very own Angeline has given us 2 addresses that we're going to do a CMA for, because these are listings that she has coming up. I have already done 1. So we're going to go through that kind of together. And then I have not done the second because I wanted us all to do it together. It's going to be great. Whenever you do a CMA, please know that you do not have to have a very specific price in mind before you get to the house. You are likely going to come up with a range. And when you get to the house and see the condition, that's when you'll decide, is that the high end of the range or the low end of the range? You're probably going to come with a range though. So please don't think that you need to come up with, oh, 235 or 425. No. You're going to know, within a couple 10 grand, how much that house is going to be worth. Also, it's an art. It's not a science. Even appraisers give homes different values based on what comps they use, based on what value they give to a finished basement versus not finished basement, et cetera. So if we all have a little bit different price for the one that we're about to do, that's okay. And yet, if it's more than like 10 grand off, that's not okay. Keep the comps that you find so that you can give them to an appraiser later on, because let's just assume the close. You're going to get this listing at the appointment and you're going to get it to go under contract. So then what you want to do when the appraiser comes is leave those. You can meet them at the door. Sometimes I just like to leave them at the house, and so that they have proof. They have comps that you want them to use to make sure that that appraises, because anyone that's had a buyer or a seller where they call you, hey, I'm so sorry, it didn't appraise for that. Oh gosh, now we have to go back through negotiations. I mean, things fall out of contract all the time, a month in, because it didn't appraise. So save those for the appraiser. Let me check and see if there's any questions so far. Where did my question box go? Okay, I don't know where the question box went. Does anyone have any questions? Don't type it because I can't see it. Oh, here it is, chat. Porch, no. Porch won't factor into square footage. Basement, I would say not most of the time. I don't know. Sometimes agents factor the basement square footage in. Sometimes they don't. If it's unfinished, you can't. Don't factor it in. If it's a finished basement, meaning drywall, carpeting or flooring, ceiling is in, and it has heated and cooled vents and whatnot, most people probably do. Technically, you're not supposed to, but I'm leaving it at that. Okay, great. So next we're going to look at Angeline's listing that she has coming up. So I want everyone in the FMLS to look up this address. It is 2843 Overlook Trace, Atlanta, Georgia, 30324. I just put it in the chat for y'all. It is 2843. So let's pretend that we're Angeline and we have a listing appointment for this guy coming up, okay? We can see in the multiple listing service that this has been on the market before. And if you see the little red X under the status, you know that that has expired. So I don't know the last time it was sold. I'll help you figure out when it was sold last, but they tried to sell it twice on the multiple listing service, and both times they were unsuccessful. Do y'all know what the #1 reason something expires is? You can either unmute or put it in the chat. Jeff, I saw you unmute.
Too high of a price, or the price?
Too high of a price. Yep, good job, Pam. It's typically its price. So over here, if you slide to the right, you can see the date it expired. So when they listed it in March of 2019, it was on the market for a little over 5 months. It was last listed at 514. I'm going to show you how to find out what it was listed at originally, because it could have been higher than that and they dropped it. Then they tried to do it again in January and it expired, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and it expired at 498. So if they haven't done anything else in terms of upgrades to this property, are we going to be listing this at 498 or higher? No, we are not. We can say that with certainty, but don't tell them that over the phone. It's your job to have all the ammo for why we can't, so that when you go to that listing appointment, you can explain it to them with certainty. So let's look at the last time it was listed, which is this one. Let's go to history. This is fun. This is how you find out everything you want to know about a property. So it was listed for the first time in March of 2019. So I bet you this has only had one owner. I bet you they bought it when it was first built directly from, the model home and the builder, and then they have wanted to resell it. So it's listed at 514, didn't go under contract, doesn't show a price drop, just straight up expired 5.5 months later. Then they tried to list it again in January of this year, never went under contract, never had a price drop, expired. Oh, okay. If you had a different listing, you could scroll down and you could see a mortgage history as well. I'll show you on the next example, but you should be able to see when it was last purchased under here, and you can see who took up mortgages, X, Y, and Z. But because this was new construction when they bought it, you can't. So we'll go back to the listing side of things. So let's look around here. 2,200 square foot, 3-bed, 3.5 bath. It has common walls. It's one of the middle ones. It's not an end unit. End units are typically worth a little bit more. We have the name of the neighborhood is Overlook at Lenox. Let's look here. Hardwood floors throughout, custom window treatments. So that's going to be your plantation shutters, built-in surround speakers. Okay, sounds pretty good. Let's go down here. That hurts us a little bit. Who wants to talk about what I've just highlighted? Oh, I see someone, but I can't hear you. Is that Keisha? Tiffany Keys goes,
oh, yes, it's me. Sorry.
Nah. Keisha, were you talking? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying the sales commission being 2.5.
So let me tell you something. Exactly. Okay, thank you, Jessica. So that means that your buyer, either the selling agent, the buyer's agent, is going to be taking 2.5% commission, or you're going to have that fun conversation with your buyer about how you checked buyer will pay the whatever is remaining on the 3% on your BBA that you had them sign at the buyer's consult. So that's not fun. Can I be honest with y'all? This is overpriced. Clearly it was at 514 and then it was 498. That is going to be overpriced. We can already tell. I can't tell you with certainty, and yet I'm like 99% that this had something to do with it. There are plenty of agents out there that will not show a listing if it doesn't have 3%. I have not, and yet it does hurt a little bit. So there you go. Okay, so this guy is a townhouse. Almost all the ones in this community, almost in any townhome community, you're going to have very similar floor plans. You're going to have the ability to only look at comps in that neighborhood. Now, on our next example, we're going to go outside of that specific neighborhood, but with these townhouses all being built around the same time, the same layout, about the same price and floor plan, and et cetera, we're only going to look for our comps in this community. Outside of that, I don't like to go further than an elementary school distance away. I only look at things inside the same elementary school district, because this is Atlanta, and a 2-rated school butts up to a 7-rated school here, and it's all crazy. And people spend 50 grand sending their kids to private school because the elementary schools are so different. So I would very much suggest, whenever you're looking at comps, you don't go necessarily a distance away from the home. You keep it within the elementary school system. Let me look at my notes real quick. Perfect. So whenever we look at it for the first time, if it is in the multiple listing service, you can look at the tax record again, the realist report, things like that. But I want to get a feel for what's the elementary school. It's Sarah Smith. That's a good one. It's like one of the only good ones, ITP. Overlook at Lenox is the name of the neighborhood. I want to look at the history and see what's been going on with it. Clearly, we're not going to list it at 498. What else? If it expired, why? Low commission, bad pictures? No, pictures are actually pretty good. Nice neutral colors, nice cabinets. I mean, it's all very original to when it was built. You know, in 2007, you had those darker cabinets with the black counters. But I mean, it all looks good. Looks like it's in good condition. The hardwood floors look nice. Was it overpriced, bad condition? So I really think the reason it expired here was it was overpriced. I don't know what kind of marketing they did. I can't say that with certainty. I do think the agent commission might have hit it a little bit. So what we're gonna do is, if you can like save this so that you can go back and compare, that's awesome. You can open up a new window for your multiple listing service and compare back to it. What I'm gonna do is go to search residential. Now, I forgot about this earlier. This is a townhome. Okay, so click attached. Unclick detached, click attached, or you're not gonna get any comps. This is what I did first. I'm gonna wanna look at everything that's under contract. So active under contract and pending are the under contract ones. I wanna know what's actively on the market right now. It's gonna be that competition. Coming soon is gonna be competition in the near future. And then I want to look at closed. I don't necessarily want to look at anything that withdrew or expired. That doesn't give me a lot of info. And okay, so we're checking is the attached. We're going to check the top 4 and the bottom 1. And then in this, under the where it says map search, I type in the address 2843. Overlook, and then it'll auto-populate for you. Questions so far, are we good? Y'all unmute yourself and interrupt me. What I do next is go to map. Okay, so I'll zoom in. The red dot is the address that we put in. I really only want to look at this neighborhood in particular. I don't care about the other townhomes. I don't care about the single family. That's not going to be a comp at all to it. So what I want to do is actually delete this shape. Now that it's centered on the map where I want to be looking, I'm going to take the polygon tool. And I'm going to single click to surround the whole neighborhood. Skirt. And then when you close the shape, everything outside of the shape will disappear. If you don't like the shape that you drew, hover over the red dot and then do delete shape. But I want to only focus on right now, if I can find enough comps for this neighborhood in particular, I only want to focus on this neighborhood. Okay, so green is going to be active, your yellow is active under contract, your orange is pending, your red's expired, your purple's withdrawn, no, purple's coming soon. Your blue is your sold. There's not a whole lot that is sold in the last 6 months. If you go back to criteria, I'm only looking at anything that's closed in the last 180 days. I want to go ahead and see what has it been for the entire year. Down here, you'll notice that when I typed in 365, it went from 3 to 4. Okay, so I'll go back to map. Perfect. Another one has popped up. Then I can go to results. Awesome. So there is one that's currently available in the neighborhood. That's going to be very good to know because that is your active competition. It looks just as pretty or nicer than the one that we're going to an appointment for. How are we going to justify pricing it higher than that? This has been listed ever since the beginning of May. This has been listed for a little over a month. It's at 400, let's call it 475. And if that's nicer than ours or just as nice, I can't justify listing ours higher than 475. Does that make sense? So that immediately tells me, if they were at 498 and it looks anything on the inside like this one, it's going to be a rude awakening. I better have all my overpricing objection handlers ready to educate this seller on why we can't go over 475. We're just going to be doing Jessica, I love it. We're just going to be doing them a disservice. So she's clicked on it. It's an end unit and it's pretty. So there you go. I'm also going to take a look here at what is recently closed. And one thing I like to do is when you slide over to the right, I click on closing date twice so that I see what has most recently sold and then gone in order after that, because the most recently sold one is going to be more relevant. This just closed a couple months ago. The second one closed in December of last year. This one was almost a year ago. I'm not going to weigh that one as much. And yet, I still want to take a look at what's going on. So what's going with my notes? If no recent sales in the last year in the community, go out to the elementary school. Perfect. Then I look at the solds first. So let's click on the FMLS number of this one that's listed at 460,9. So it's an end unit, which is typically going to be a higher price or more desired than an interior unit. 1, natural light from the windows coming in from the side. 2, only one shared wall. I know people that live in townhomes that never hear their neighbors. I know people that live in townhomes that are constantly woken up by their neighbors. So end units can be very important. Okay, so let's look at the photos here. Okay, it's an end unit. Same kitchen except lighter color granite. That's really personal preference, but it is trendier to be lighter.
Beautiful.
Granite now. It's vacant, which vacant and using your own furniture, neither one shows amazingly. It's really better to stage it with nice furniture that fits it perfectly, unless you have really perfect stuff. You want to stage it. But very neutral colors. Looks like it was cleaned. Cool. So there you go. And this one is on the end, so it's not like you have another row here. So you're pretty private back in this corner of the neighborhood. Let's go to history. Let's see what's going on with this guy. That's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. So I can see here that this one sold in February of 2020. This is the mortgage history, where you see conventional and refi 3 times here in the middle. That owner was just refinancing the mortgage. This was not sold in 17/12/2008. They just refi their mortgage. It was a first-time sale as a new construction in January of 2008. So this one is now on its second owner. So they listed this one in August of 2019 at 488,000. They dropped the price 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before it finally went under contract. Then it came back on the market. Then it went under contract again and finally closed. So this poor seller, let me tell you something. If the agent had just educated them on pricing it correctly from the get-go, would not have had to go through months and months of selling of paying this mortgage. Okay, so that one took a little while to sell, and it was not priced right from the get-go. So 460,9. They did offer $6,000 in closing costs. I'm not super concerned about that right now. Oh, that okay, thank you, Angeline. So for that end unit, you can hear traffic noise from 400. Things that we don't know unless we go to the actual property. Perfect. Thank you, Angeline. So that you would have to be there for the listing appointment to know. So yeah, this one's probably not going to sell as high as one that you can't hear 400 traffic from. Let's go to the next guy. Oof. Okay, this one was sold for 445 and gave $5,000 in closing. Okay, so another 3-bed, 3.5 bath. Let's look at the photos on this guy. He's an interior unit, like the one that we're going on an appointment for. Very nice neutral colors. Big furniture, but it's a big room, so it might look okay in person. Same kind of kitchen as the one we're going to go on an appointment for. With the nice custom kind of cabinets. Okay. Ooh. Angeline, is this on all of them? Do they all have the outdoor fireplace?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay, cool. Because that's quite nice. Okay. So I'm curious though, this guy's selling at 445. That doesn't make me feel too great. Let's go down to the bottom. They were offering 3%. It was on the market for 33 days before it went under contract. tried to sell this before. Do you see the discrepancy between days on market and total days on market? Go to the history to see what's going on there. This was listed at 479.9 January of 2019. They did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I lost count. 6 price drops before they withdrew it at 450. And at that point, they had been on the market for like months. They were so low on the list of new listings that they weren't getting any traffic anymore. So they withdrew it. And literally, you can see they withdrew it on 10/22. They relisted it 10/23 at that same 450. And then it went under contract. So by relisting it, now it costs $20 to withdraw something from the multiple listing service. And yet I bet you by doing that and hitting the new listings sheet, they got it done. You can tell they also picked a new front photo. All right, so 445, perfect. Let's look at the next one. This one sold in July of last year, so it's almost a year ago. I don't love that. It's pretty far out. However, you know, an appraiser will likely use this because it is in the neighborhood. It was under contract or on the market for 17 days before it went under contract. And it was listed at 473.5. It went under contract, or it sold for 473. So priced it right. Let's look at the photos. It's an interior unit as well. Same as the one that we're looking at. Same, you know, hardwood floors, just a little bit different color. Love the furniture they have going on in there. I don't love how it looks in the photos. This looks kind of dated, if I'm honest with you. Furniture can make the house look a little bit dated. Okay, let's go to the history. Listed May of last year, went under contract, came back on the market. After it went on the market, they dropped the price, then it went under contract, and then it closed. Okay, interesting. All right, and then the last one we're going to look at is the one that is currently active. So it is an end unit. It is listed at 475, let's call it. Let's look at the history on this guy. They listed this about 34 days ago, 475. They haven't dropped it in that month. I get that we have COVID going on, and yet I'm still seeing multiple offer situations in a lot of different price points, this one included. So honestly, it just may, I think it's overpriced. Let's look at the photos. I don't love this vertical situation going on here, but I get that they wanted to show the front door. It's neutral. It has dark cabinets with black granite, just like ours. Don't love the furniture that they have in it. Don't love this. You know, I don't think these are professional photos. No. These I think are iPhone photos, and then they paid for a couple drone. I don't love these photos, if I'm honest with you. It's going to be pretty difficult to list the interior unit that we're going to go on an appointment for 475 or higher, just because this one's been sitting itself and it's an end unit. Angeline, do you know anything about this one? Can you hear 400 from this guy?
I'm sorry. Yes, you can hear 400, and also on the listing that's about to go up, that owner, the owner is actually my father, but he paid another $31,000 for that premium lot. There's 4 units that has like complete privacy in the background.
Oh, perfect.
Like
okay, cool. So the one that you're going on an appointment for, that is the one that is a premium lot.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And is this one?
And even though it was listed before, they already had offers at 495.
Okay. Perfect.
But
there you go.
But he wouldn't accept. So
when it was listed at 498, he wouldn't accept an offer at 495?
Nope. Don't ask.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. So that's a fun conversation to have when you come in a listing appointment. Is if we list your house at 498, what's going to happen if we get an offer at 495? You want to know that ahead of time, because you want to know, is this a listing worth taking? Not that that is okay, but you want to have the answers in case they give you something like that. Okay, so knowing what we know, let's put all this together. We would not have known, without Angeline telling us, until we got there to the listing appointment, that the current owner, the one we're going on an appointment for, paid 31 grand more, 31 grand? I think.
Yes, 31 grand.
Okay, perfect. Because that lot actually has perfect privacy in the back. You don't hear 400, which is going to be huge, and you have perfect privacy in the back. So with that being said, I could see how if they have the same interior, you would be able to price it at the 475 or higher based off of that. However, we don't know that until we get there, or unless they tell us that. And honestly, still, even just if they tell you something, I'm not necessarily going to factor it in with high weight until I can see with my own eyes, hear with my own ears. What if something has an extra bedroom? How do we subtract that? Perfect. So when I'm looking at comps, I'm going to take this off real quick, and I apologize because that was the basics of doing a CMA. I'm obviously more than happy to help y'all with specific properties. But I wanted you to know how to search for ones within the community. So first step, search within a community that it's in. Bedrooms are something that you want to confirm ahead of time because there's so much weight placed on the number of bedrooms and the square footage of a property. Those are probably the two things that people are going to pay the most attention to. Number one, a 3-bedroom home is sometimes a completely different audience than a 4-bedroom home. 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms, those are all going to have a different type of buyer for the most part. 4 bedrooms is so similar to 5 bedrooms. Very, very few people need a 5 with a definite 5th bedroom as opposed to a 4 with a bonus. So if you have 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms for your listing, you probably only want to be searching for comps that have that same number of bedrooms. 3 is more similar to 4. Compared to two bedrooms is, some people won't even look at a 2-bedroom just for the resale value. Honestly, I forget what appraisers are valuing a bedroom at now. I think depending on the price point, it can be 15 grand, it can be 30 grand, depending what price point we're talking about. But I very much try to only do the same number of bedrooms as the one I'm going on an appointment for. And keep in mind, 3 bedrooms on the main level of a ranch with a bedroom in the basement is not the same as 4 bedrooms on a ranch. Those will appraise differently. Do you have a standard sort of amount we can subtract for bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage if necessary? Depending on the price point. The beds and baths, again, if you can, really only find comps that have the same number of bedrooms. Bathrooms are a little different. 2, 2.5, if you have 2.5 bathrooms in the one you're going on, of course it's going to have a little bit higher value than one with only 2 full bathrooms, because then the guests have to use the same bathroom as what's being lived in by the kiddos or whoever else lives in the house. So I really try to keep it within a half bath number. The bedrooms, I try to be dead on in how many bedrooms they have. Sometimes I can count a bonus room one way or the other. Square footage, I almost never even look at that because honestly, so many agents are lazy and put in 0 as the square footage. You know how many times, let's see. I'm not sharing my screen anymore. The number of times that I've seen square footage as 0 is just the agent's lazy. And so I don't like to put in square footage when I'm doing my comps because I don't want to accidentally not include those that have 0 in the square footage. I also can never really confirm if that square footage is the main level and the second level, or if they're including the basement and it gets too wishy-washy. If I have a 1,500 square foot ranch with an unfinished basement that I'm going on an appointment for, and I'm not going to look at something with 3,000 square foot. It's not a comp. So I keep it relatively within, but I don't like to go ahead and put that in the search criteria because then you'll just automatically accidentally exclude any that the agent got lazy and put 0 square foot in. What other questions do y'all have? Feel free to unmute and interrupt. Bueller?
Katie, I have a question about the house that I'll be listing. So, so basically, when my brother bought it, he got it appraised, and they weren't including the square footage on the first level because it's one of those houses that it's 2 levels, but it's got a split foyer. So the driveway and the basement is on the lower level, and they're calling that the basement. And then you walk up the steps in front of the house to the front door, which is the split foyer. And so the upper level is the main level, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that has everything else. And the bottom is just the garage, the laundry, the master, and the master suite and all that. So anyway, when he first bought it, the appraiser did not include that square footage at all. And that's half the total square footage of the house. And he got like 20,000 off the house because they didn't include it and they had to come down.
Oh. Wow. Then the listing agent from when he bought it did not do a good job fighting that then. Because here's the thing, you're never going to include the garage in the square footage. So if the garage is half of that lower level, that's not going to be included. So really they were only leaving out like a third of the square footage for the home. But if it's a split level and it had, or a split foyer like that, I would go ahead and include that square footage. I have a split level.
Yeah.
Include the square footage of my finished basement area.
Totally. It's finished. And yeah, do you even call it a basement? I'm so confused because it's finished. It's all above ground. It has windows all around it.
Again, it's an art, not a science. And so appraisers, well, you can send 3 appraisers out to a house and they'll maybe all give you a different price. And if they do, and that's how this goes. So very seldom do we actually list a house for a price that it actually sells for exactly that price. But okay, I want to end here so that we can start our last class on how to write an offer. Please feel free to email me, y'all, if y'all have other questions on CMAs. And if you have a listing appointment and you just want a little bit more certainty on what price you're going to list it at, send me over the address and whatever pricing you think and justifications. I'm more than happy to take a look at it and be like, yeah, close enough. Like, let's see what the condition is like when you're there, or what do you know that I don't know? Because I'm getting a different opinion. So happy to do that. So you guys are so welcome. Yes, good luck, Angeline. Yay, that's very exciting. And y'all are so very welcome. So I'll give y'all a minute or two to head out. If you were here for the CMA class, by all means, please stick around for the how to write an offer. This will be a little bit of an introduction class. So this is definitely for our group A peeps, because this is going to be a combination of how to write an offer, everything to make sure that you're filling in, blah, 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 along with it's a combo of how to make the most competitive terms for winning a multiple offer situation. So we're going to let the peeps that want to leave out, and we'll let the peeps that want to come in for how to write an offer come in. Need a price, one for Sunday. Perfect. Okay, good job, Zach. Great. So we will wait till everyone comes in. Does anyone have awesome news to share with us that happened over the weekend? Oh, seldom the house sells for what what you list it for. Very seldom does it sell to the dollar of exactly what you listed it for. It's an art. And oftentimes it doesn't appraise exactly for what the sell price is. Mine appraised, I think, $4,000 higher than what I paid for it. Hashtag got a deal. Hashtag not really, it's only $4,000. Let me get my notes for how to write an offer. Cool, so we have time. Who has a win from this weekend that they want to share with us? Maybe you got someone under contract, maybe you had a listing or a new buyer. Who has great news? Okay, someone tell me something good.
I can share.
Hey, yes, thanks, Kiwanis.
So, I I got a new buyer, and I got her qualified with I guess I'm using the wrong term, but the Atlanta housing
Oh, gotcha.
grant.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wait, is
Yeah,
that
and
Nadej? Oh,
so,
hey, Nadej. Sorry, I thought it was at first. Her face lit up.
oh, so yeah, so I got her qualified with and so she's able. It's under FHA guidelines, but the grant, they're doing 20,000 towards our closing costs and
Mm-hmm.
down payment.
Nice. Perfect. So, and it sounds like, because I know that when we spoke before, you really have a passion for helping those people become homeowners who maybe never expected to become a homeowner before in their life, maybe their first time in their family to become a homeowner. Was that the group of peeps that you're really passionate about helping?
Yes.
Amazing. That's all. Like, that makes my heart smile. That's awesome. Congrats. Perfect. So some housekeeping really quickly. Sorry if you have already heard this. I'm going to be putting these dates in the calendar so that y'all can follow along. So first of all, thank y'all so much for participating at a high level in our group coaching. Next Monday, we're going to be back to our groups A, B, and C, where I will have been able to factor in May closings at this point because we've done transmittal. And so if you have had 0 or 1 closing so far, you will be group A. 2 to 4 closings will be group B, and then 3 or 5 plus closings will be group C. In the chat is the schedule that we're going to chat about real quick. On the 22nd, we're back in these pick whatever group interests you most or fits best in your calendar and come to at least one of them. So 12 to 1 o'clock is the buyer consultation and the BBA, what to do before, during, and after your buyer consultation, along with what forms and documents to give to them, all about the buyer brokerage agreement. From 1 to 2 p.m. is social media marketing, both from a free standpoint as well as a paid boost or the campaigns and things like that that you can pay for Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. And then from 2 to 3 p.m. is our circle prospecting, which is going to be very much geared towards just listed and open house circle prospecting. So a whole lot of call scripts along with some door knocking. So pick whichever one interests you most. You'll be getting a calendar invite for both of those the next couple of Mondays. Yes, Stephanie, all of these, I think they automatically go to YouTube. They'll be on YouTube at some point, yes. As fast as we possibly can. Everything that we are Zooming will be. How are y'all liking this odd numbered Monday ABC and even number Monday pick a category? How does that work for y'all? Put it in the chat. Okay, Beth, thanks, thumbs up. Put it in the chat or okay, Kenneth, thank you. Jeff, thank you. Okay, good. Perfect, Stephanie. Okay, awesome. I want to make sure that this is working for y'all. Is it too confusing? Eugene, I appreciate you. It's not confusing? The calendar invite stuff is going well? Lovely. Okay, Supreme, every Monday at 3 p.m., news you can use. So that's good for you and your clients. It's good info that you can share with them. Tomorrow, we have an awesome new construction class with Paul Zakos. He used to be a builder, and now he is an agent on our ALC. So he will be sharing some insider info on writing an offer for new construction and getting your people to closing. It's at 11 a.m. Then on Wednesday is our Keller Williams Peachtree Road weekly team meeting, 11:30 to 1. Thursday with Lisa Pinson is Live Luxury. That's more so geared towards listings, but it's all about the benefits and the qualifications for being a luxury agent within Keller Williams. The Supreme Credit Essentials is every Friday at 1 p.m. And then I'm very excited about this one because it's both for our dual career agents this Saturday, along with anyone else from our market center that wants to join. Dory is teaching a class on how to make $150,000 in 40 weeks. So that is the Saturday 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. class this week, which I am very excited about. And last but not least, next week, the DocuSign and Command classes are being redone by Kristen and Lori. So they're there live walking you through it. If you have questions, they'll pause and answer the question right then and there or at the end. I had to take the DocuSign one. It was very, very beneficial. We're only in DocuSign now. You can't be in Dotloop anymore. So just keep that in mind. Eugene, which one's the good class? The DocuSign? Oh, yeah. No, that one's going to be great on Saturday. The how to make 150K in 40 weeks. We'll probably start being able to do our one-on-ones with your coach in July. So stand by for that. We're still doing group coaching most likely via Zoom for the month of July. And then we're going to be doing an online Ignite, hopefully here closer to the end of June. It'll be 12 business days. So 2 weeks and 2 days. And then we'll hopefully be able to do in person in July and August. Don't know yet if that's daytime or evening. Stand by. Just a quick reminder, who else you can call besides me is our other coaches, Kenya, Kiki, and Victor, Cara, and Dory. And then if you are a member of the Productivity Coaching All-Stars Facebook group, you already know that every Friday I post the name and the phone number of the agent who is on call for the weekend. So it was Jenna last weekend. It will be Victor Collins this weekend. So please do not hesitate to reach out, because that is my way of intentionally giving myself a day off, is letting y'all know who the person on call is. Remember, when we created our schedule, you have to have time for yourself. So perfect. I'm going to share my screen and go. I actually bought extra months of Dotloop capability. It was $22. So thank you, Beth Barnes, for letting me know about that discount. And so I re-upped. So we're going to go over the forms just looking at my Dotloop, because honestly, I'm not yet good enough in DocuSign to do this. And so it's just faster, but it doesn't matter. We're just looking at the forms. So let me share my screen. Perfect. Okay, cool. Can y'all see my screen? Okay, lovely. All right, so we're gonna go over almost all the documents that you would use when writing an offer. I wanna first give you a couple steps. When you're representing the buyer and you go to show the property, couple different items that you wanna do first is build rapport. And if you've taken the Ignite class, how to make and receive offers that I teach, I can stretch this out into a 3-hour period. I have 50 minutes. So it's not going to be as intense, and it's going to have a little bit less participation. It's going to be a little bit more like, listen. Is that okay with you guys? Okay. Cool. Okay, awesome. So the first thing you want to do when you're ready to write an offer is you want to make sure that you have a great rapport and open line of communication with the listing agent. So you want to do the listing agent. I'm going to type some stuff in here just so that you can follow along. You want to make sure you know, hey, what's their motivation? Are they time sensitive, or do they just want more money? Let them know about the offer so that they know to expect it. There are some price points and some locations that are so hot that I'm having to check before I show if there's any offers already, because not everyone's really good about changing it from active to active under contract. So the rapport kind of really starts prior to the showing, but afterwards, if it is something that your buyers are going to move forward with, know the seller motivation, let them know about the offer, ask about what's important to the sellers. Like I said, sometimes the sellers just want a really quick closing. Maybe they've already purchased another home and they don't want to have to pay a mortgage for both of them. Maybe they don't care about time because there is no mortgage. They own it clear and free, and they just want the most money. That is going to help you to write the best offer that is win-win for your buyers and the seller. The next thing you want to do is make a room in DocuSign, a loop in Dotloop. And what example will we use here? Let's use Ashland, that's fine. Okay, so before I write the offer, what I'm gonna do is talk to the lender, and I'm going to make sure that the buyers understand, okay, at this price that we're going to be offering, and you can use some info that you just found out in the CMA class about an appropriate price. At this price that we're offering, keeping in mind what the taxes are, different counties have different tax rates. If it's in an HOA, that monthly or annual payment might affect things. I want the lender to share with the buyers what their mortgage is going to look like, and make sure before I spend the time doing this and doing the negotiations that that's comfortable. So next is going to be speak with lender, because you need the pre-approval letter and ensure buyers comfy with payment. Your pre-approval letter needs to be for an amount that is at least what your offer price is. If it's lower, the listing agent will likely ask you to resend one. So just go ahead and get one that's updated, the most recently dated, with the purchase, with the purchase price or higher on it. So you're going to have a couple different forms. You're always going to have the purchase and sale, some kind of financing. It's going to be FHA, VA, conventional, all cash, whatever. You're always going to have something for the financing. And then you're always going to have the pre-approval letter or proof of funds. So whenever you send over an offer, it's always going to have 3 items attached to it, minimum. The most I've ever had, I think, is like 7. Because you'll have most often, you'll also have the property disclosure. That's the next most common thing that you'll add. And then sometimes you might have the community association disclosure. Sometimes you might have a lead-based paint disclosure, and sometimes you might want to add in there a little love letter. So there have been times where I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, there's like 7 different documents on one. They're all going to be a little different based on which one they actually have coming with the property. Sometimes there's a legal description that the listing agent puts online. What I like to do first is, if we go to one of my listings, you can see here that, oh, they're not on there. Well, isn't that interesting? There's a little symbol here that should be there. No, good thing I know now. There's a little symbol here where you can find all the documents. Let me find one. This is one that's closing next week. They don't have it either. Who has a listing with the documents already uploaded? Beth, does yours? What's the address?
It's 192 Abington Way.
Okay, great. Way to do things properly, Beth. Good job. Okay, so this is the symbol. Look how cute this is, y'all. Bring her a buyer. This is whenever there's documents already uploaded into FMLS. If you use Churchville Group and you pay them, I just do the $55 package. They will go ahead and upload all the documents for you from your DocuSign. So if you click on this, what did Beth leave us with? Okay, perfect. The legal description and then the seller's property disclosure. Beth, thumbs up, thumbs down. Is there an HOA here? Perfect, great. So she didn't include the community association disclosure because there is no community association disclosure. So there's no community association. What you can do is check these and you can email them. You can print them. I'm not hooked up to a printer, so it's automatically just gonna download. I can save as a PDF, whatever, but I want to include these with the offer. There it is. Okay, good. So I'm going to purchase and sale agreement. The one that my buyers are closing on next week, they do have a community association. So I have the disclosure here. I have the conventional loan. I have the property seller's disclosure. I have their pre-approval letter, and I have a love letter to the sellers because there was multiple offers on this property. So, so in this, let's pretend we're in DocuSign. In this room, I have a bunch of different documents that are going to go with this offer. So let's look first at the purchase and sale contract, because that one's going to be on every single offer. Okay, offer date. That one should be self-explanatory. So then number one, check and make sure that all of these items auto-populated properly. Whenever you go to fill something in, you can go to, which one is it? Autofill, and you can click autofill. You can link it to a listing and it will put everything in automatically for you. If I'm being honest with you, that doesn't always work as properly as you want it to. I heard that there are some issues with it in DocuSign right now. So go through even items that auto-populated, make sure that it's all correct. So number 1A always has to be filled out properly. There are no blanks, okay? MLS number, whether that's Georgia MLS or FMLS, an MLS number, and then the tax parcel ID number. If you go to the listing, it's going to be right here in blue. Perfect. Then for B, you are going to have to check one of those boxes. So for Beth, she already gave me the legal description on the FMLS document, so I could just attach it as an exhibit. The easiest one to do, honestly, if the agent does not have the legal description already uploaded, is number 3. And not everyone has this information filled out, but when they do, it's the easiest one. 3, it's asking for what deed book and what page number are the records in. If you go to the listing, deed book and page number are right there. A lazy agent or one that doesn't use Churchwell Group, it will say 0, 0, and that's very annoying because then I have to go get the information myself or ask Claire at McManamy to get me the legal description. If you need legal description, whether it is for your Claire, if whether or not it's your listing or you have a buyer, I just put in there the email for Claire at McManamy, McLeod and Heller. If you send her the realist report, send her email with realist report attached, she will get you the legal description within like, I don't know, an hour. Beth, is that how you got your legal description? Yeah, Claire's awesome. So there you go. If it's here and the listing agent put it in, boom, baby, just take it from that. Easy peasy. Okay, number 2. Number 2, you need to fill in what the purchase price is. We're going to talk about something here soon called an escalation clause. What I want you to do, if you're choosing to use an escalation clause, is put in a purchase price here, make it strong, and then you can, oh, I don't want to type in here because I don't want to take off the signatures. Parentheses, see special stip number 1. If you're going to do anything kind of crazy with the purchase price, make sure that you add in there, see special stip number 1. Not all agents read the special steps. And I have heard of people missing out on an offer because the agent didn't know there was an escalation clause in the special steps. Number 3 is closing costs. Always speak to the lender before you fill this out, because sometimes the only amount that the buyers can actually get is up to 3% of the purchase price. Sometimes if they're purchasing it as an investment property, you can only get up to 2% of the purchase price paid for in closing costs. Always speak to the lender before you fill that one out. That's really not only up to the buyers to choose that number. That's a combination of your brain and the buyer's needs and the lender like requirements coming together for that number. Closing date. Pick a closing date. It's going to only be Monday through Friday, number 1. I'm not a big fan of Fridays if I can help it, just because typically they're kind of swamped on Fridays and it's a busier day for closings. I do not like doing them the last couple days of the month, especially because things happen all the time where closings get bumped. I don't like doing the last day of the month just in case. I also don't love Mondays because I like to know there's a business day right before closing just to confirm that everything is good. Closing on a Monday, it gives me, I don't like it. So you pick whatever you want, whatever's best for your peeps. Maybe they only have Tuesdays off. Cool, pick a Tuesday. Typically possession of the home happens at closing. You would click this first one. If you're going to let the buyer move in early, or let the seller stay in after closing, this is when you would check this box. And if I'm honest with, and you then of course you have to have the temporary occupancy agreement. I would try to avoid that at all costs. That's just me. We can go over that later. 5, holder of earnest money. You always ask for our office to hold the closing money, the earnest money. The person who holds the earnest money is really going to be the person with the most say on who gets it if there is any kind of situation that goes down. And I have not had very many of them, thank goodness, knock on wood, and yet Kathy Woods is one of the best compliance brokers, if not the best out there, and you want to make sure that we control the earnest money for your client. I don't care if they're buyer or seller. Closing attorney, this is whoever you want to use. I make sure to put Charlie Pollard in parentheses. He is the one from McManamy that comes on our weekly calls, and I like to give him business. He's very helpful to me. So I put him in particular just so that they can make sure it goes on his schedule. All of these things have to be filled out. Number 7, earnest money. Are your peeps going to do check or cash or wire transfer? Please don't do cash. Like, we're talking thousands of dollars. So number 1, cash, just don't do that. If your buyer doesn't own personal checks because they're a millennial and apparently millennials don't own them, or if they want to do a wire transfer, they prefer it, check the wire transfer. Don't check all of these. Check 1. Typically, I see B being checked within 3 days of going binding, and then it's typically 1% of the purchase price. Here is one of.
What's up, baby?
Hey, did you have your call?
Yeah, I had it with Lloyd, but I haven't got.
Okay, I'm muting you, Eugene. Okay, so the earnest money, I do 1% of the purchase price. If we're in a multiple offer situation and I want to look more serious, you can increase that to 1.52, whatever a percentage you want. Just keep in mind that's the money that your buyer has on the line if they walk away outside of the contingency. So typically 1%. And then inspection and due diligence. I was real aggressive for this one and said 5 days because I knew that we could get an inspector out there on day 1. This went binding, I think, in the morning, and then the next day was day 1, and we had the inspector out. So I got real aggressive with it and went 5. I typically do 7. Very seldom will I actually write 10, and I don't know that I've ever accepted 10 on a listing. I'm like, get your stuff together. You can get an inspection tomorrow or the next day. I know you can. So the lower you go, the more of a time crunch you have, and yet there are ways of winning a multiple offer situation by changing your terms so that you're really competitive, you're timely, you're going to move quickly with this. If they don't like the property, then the sellers can get it back on the market super quickly. So I put 5 for this one. And we won. So lead-based paint, you have to do something for 9. Is it or is it not built prior to 1978? Legally, you must have the lead-based paint disclosure for anything that was built prior to 78 or earlier. It's up to an $11,000 fine if it has lead-based paint and you didn't have the disclosure signed. Know that anything built prior to 1978 probably has lead-based paint. And yet the disclosure isn't saying it doesn't have lead-based paint. It says the seller has no knowledge of lead-based paint, or maybe the seller does have knowledge and they checked that box. We'll go over that disclosure next. Perfect. And then 10, you're going to be filling out who the broker is. This one, it was listed by Berkshire Hathaway. There are plenty of times where I've co-opted with an agent in our office. Keller Williams Peachtree Road can be the listing broker and the selling broker. But if that's the case, you have to check number 4, designated agent, where Katie Staples is representing the buyer and Nina Harris is representing the seller. So if it's the same broker for listing and seller, you don't check number 1, you check number 4. Good. The only other time, now Keller Williams does not allow us to check number 3. There is no dual agency in Keller Williams in the state of Georgia. I've only checked number 2 one time. I was the listing agent and an unrepresented buyer came to the table. He didn't want to take an agent. He actually was hoping to decrease the commission in order to get a little bit better of a deal on it. And my seller would still net a pretty penny. And so I checked selling broker is Keller Williams Peachtree Road, working with buyer as customer, and I was working with the seller as a client. So typically you're going to check the first boxes. Letter C is going to be material relationships. So maybe the seller is the listing agent. Maybe the listing agent is related to the seller. Those are the only examples I've seen. Relations goes in there. You have to disclose that with the offer. Time limit. Sometimes I can be a little aggressive. I never give 24 hours to accept my offer because I'm impatient, and 2, I just don't. I don't want anyone else to sneak in. So if I write an offer and send it over prior to noon, I will only give them till about 8 p.m., which is, I guess, what I did here. If I send it over in the mid-afternoon, I might give them till first thing tomorrow morning. If I send it over in the evening, I'll give them till like 5 p.m. the next day. I never do 24 hours. What you want to do? And yet I like to have a response. Just needy like that. Okay, and then skip. Down to page 6, special stipulation, 7, special stipulations. What questions do y'all have first? You good? Type them in the chat, unmute, interrupt me, whatever you want. So number 8, you are going to have to check what items you're attaching to the offer. So in this case, the community association disclosure was attached because it isn't an HOA. We are doing a conventional loan as compared to an FHA or an all cash sale or a VA. One of those has to be checked. If it's cash, you still have to do the all cash sale. So you will always have something with financing. Then they did give us a seller's property disclosure, so I checked that one. We also included the pre-approval letter, so that I always have in there. Pre-approval letter or proof of funds, I'll always check the first other. And then we did a letter to the seller from the buyers, so I included that as well. And then I letter them the different exhibits just in order, ABC, whatever order I've checked them in. Questions about that? Oh, Kenneth, what's up?
I'm sorry. So we have them labeled as A, B, C, and D. So is it with the exhibits or the amendments we do 1, 2, 3?
Correct. Amendments are 1, 2, 3. Yep, I'm gonna put that in there. Oh, do you have to? Okay, the DeKalb water, that's only a certain part. So this property was in Cobb County. Hold on one second. So Kenneth said amendment is 1, 2, 3, and exhibit is A, B, C. Perfect. Thank you, Kenneth. Good question. Jessica, is that Jessica McLaughlin? Is that you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, so yeah, so Eugene's right. Only unincorporated DeKalb has the water and then the low flow plumbing. So that's only parts of DeKalb. This was in Cobb. That's why that wasn't included.
So if it was in that section and you had those things like pre-approval letter and letter to seller, would you also add another other underneath there and add it?
Oh, probably not. I would just attach it.
Okay.
I can't promise you that that's exactly what you should do. I'm just telling you what I would do. I don't think that they're going to be upset if you didn't list that you have something else attached. Okay, special stipulations. This is super fun. So this is like one of my favorite parts because you can get real sneaky. This one, all what we put, because it was a multiple offer situation, I didn't want to ask them to do anything. I didn't want to ask for a home warranty. I didn't want to ask them to get a termite letter. There's a bunch of things you can ask, put in here, and I just chose to make it as simple as possible. They did not check on the seller's property disclosure that the washer and dryer were going to be staying with the property, and my buyers wanted them. So I put on here, all parties agree washer and dryer convey with the property, and they wound up saying yes, that it's fine. Let's finish up this one, and then I have a whole bunch of good special stipulations for y'all. In fact, I think, was it Vince, somewhere in our Keller Williams Peachtree Road Facebook page has put together an entire document on like every special stipulation you can ever do. I'll go over with y'all which ones I've used most often. Okay, so I never, ever, ever put my buyer's contact information in these. It always auto-populates their email address. Take it out. You don't want to give any of their information out, but do fill in their name, do fill in the date. Obviously the signature and the date and time are going to be up here, but make sure that you have what name is on their ID. So mine, when I purchased my home, is Catherine A. Staples. They wouldn't let me do Katie. It's not my legal name. I have a seller right now that goes by her middle name. So she has to have Sheila Renee Caverly Gillette. In my phone, she's saved as Renee Gillette. But there's a hyphenated last name, there's a real name. Make sure that you put in their legal name. He's the only one on the deed, else I would have both buyers. And then you have to fill out all of your side of the information. Keep in mind our MLS office code is KWPR01 and our brokerage number is H44680. You'll just memorize those over time. Make sure that you have all of your information. Make sure you put in your realtor membership. A lot of this will auto-populate just from your DocuSign account. And then I like to go ahead and fill out as much as I know about the listing agent, because honestly, when they get the offer and then they upload it into their DocuSign and add in like all the signature and initial forms, they do not want to have to go in here and put in like 10 different text boxes. I just like to go ahead and fill it out for them. The place that you can find all this information is here. We'll do it for Beth. So we have Beth's agent number, her firm. This is obviously the Keller Williams Peachtree Road brokerage number. I can get Beth's phone number, etc. If you want more information on Beth, click on her name and boom, you have all of her office information here. So this is all that I need to fill out the listing agent info. Where's document? Oh, here you go. I like to fill it out because I like to be as easy as possible to work with, especially in a multiple offer situation. I'm like, here you go. Look how nice I am. I fill out your forms. And then this, I don't know what happened there. This part drives me crazy when people don't know how to do this properly. Okay, let's talk about who binds an agreement. Okay, so buyer's agent sends the offer. Listing agent signs offer. Buyer's agent binds offer. Okay, if the listing agent sends it back to you with the binding agreement filled out, that's not correct. And they will insist that it's correct. And I just have to go with it and say, okay, no big deal, you're right. But know in the back of my mind that they're not right. So if you send the offer and they accept the offer, then you are the one that binds it and sends it back to them. Okay, because it's not a legal agreement until it's bound, which means that all parties have acknowledged. The listing agent can't just have the seller sign it. That's not binding. They have to then tell you that it's been signed. And they do that by sending it back to you and you bind it and you send it to them. Question, Beth.
Yes. Okay. So I try to go in, and I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here, and I don't know if anybody else has this problem in Dotloop, but I go up to add and then try to do a text box to add my name and do the date, but it tells me that it's going to knock out the signatures.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. You can't add anything after it's been signed. So the good news is don't add a text box to this with the wet signatures on it. You see how mine is still blue? It's like a wet signature. Right. Whenever you get it back from the listing agent, you're going to rescan it or like upload it
Okay.
And then you can add it because it's already, yeah, if you okay. The great thing about Dotloop and DocuSign as compared to other places are you can see, like, I signed this on the 18th of May at 2 p.m. Ryan signed this on the 18th of May at 2:07 p.m. So like I can tell all kinds of stuff. So if I change anything on this form after 2:07 p.m., it's going to erase the signatures, and it's intended. They want that to happen. So, questions. Oh wait, so if seller counters and buy, no. Okay, good question. Okay, if the seller counters and the buyer's agent accepts the counter, the listing agent has to be the one to bind it. Whoever signs it last, the total agreed upon situation, whoever signs it last, send it over with all the signatures, and then that person's the one that binds it. Because binding, all binding means is I've acknowledged that the second party has signed. Does that make sense? All a binding agreement means is that it's acknowledgement that everyone has signed it. In the state of Georgia, it's not enough that the seller signs that the buyers have written an offer. It is then has to be acknowledged by the other person. There's all kinds of crazy court cases where like the buyer will like get in a car accident and like wreck or something, and like maybe they die, like maybe they're just like are out all of their money now for their down payment, blah, blah, blah. And just because the seller signed it, they can still say, hey, look, we're withdrawing that offer. And then they're like, oh no, but you never told them, so you weren't binding. There's court cases on this stuff, y'all. So yes, that's why you have to acknowledge that all parties have signed. Okay, so let's talk about special stipulations. I think I have to stop sharing, and then let me open up a Word document where I can type some of these, and I'll restart sharing again, because this is like one of my favorite parts. And I'm going to cruise through this pretty quickly. I'm happy to send this out to everyone afterwards or take a photo or something, because we only have 20 minutes left. So let me restart the share. Okay, is that a Word document for you? Good, perfect, thank you. Okay, perfect. So number one, I like to number all of them because then you can, if seller counters and buyer sign this, yes, correct. Whatever the last thing is in the chat, that's correct. Okay, so number one, a great way to start any stipulation is all parties agree. Oops, let's spell it properly. All parties agree. That's like the most used way to start any special stipulation that you want, okay? So you can start like that. Here are some common ones. One of my favorite that I include on almost any of them is called a quality of life stipulation. Quality of life. Because who wants to be working until midnight? The last night of like due diligence. Okay, all parties agree. So, all contingency periods, including but not limited to diligence, appraisal, and financing, shall end at 6 p.m. on the last day of the period. Sometimes I make it 8 if my peeps work till 5 or 6. I don't want them to have to like rush, but pick a time of day that actual human beings are awake and should be working on real estate, because I've had certain things before I learned that stipulation. I had one go till, I'm not joking, y'all, 11:59. I don't stay up to 11:59, and I know that no one does their best work at 11:59. We don't need to be working past a normal business hour, okay? So I put that in there. I've never had pushback about that unless I have had people who were in different countries and time zones, so that's the only reason I've ever had pushback about that. So that's called the quality of life stipulation. So let me just make some notes on this so that y'all can. All right, my next favorite one is conveyances. Things that convey are items that stay with the home. So for example, what I showed y'all was all parties agree the washer and dryer will convey with the property. They gave us the seller's property disclosure. However, they did not check washer and dryer. always check what appliances are staying. I've had sellers take their stove. I've had sellers take their refrigerator because they're very specific with their appliances. Always check on that. Okay, so conveyances. So this is if it's not checked on seller's property disclosure, or if no SPD at all. And what you might want to say is all parties agree, all kitchen appliances, what's the word I use?
Convey.
At the time of showing, as well as all light fixtures shall remain. That's a great way to just cover your tuchus if they don't have a seller's property disclosure. And you don't legally have to have one in the state of Georgia. So, questions? I love that one. The next one is termite letter. I call AeroPest to come and do a free termite report inspection for us, and they will they'll check it out, make sure there's no active termites. They'll let you know if there's active, or they'll just say no active, and then they'll say, hey, if you want a termite bond, here are some prices for that size home. However, if I don't want to have to go through the work of doing that, or I'm gonna write in here, required by a VA loan. The VA loan has to have the seller give them a clear termite letter dated within 30 days of closing. So it's great to ask for. I personally just have the termite peeps go out unless I have a VA loan. So seller will provide buyer with clear termite letter or wood destroying WDO, wood destroying organism report. Use either one you want. Dated within 30 days of closing. Now, closings get bumped all the time for a bunch of different reasons. So if I'm honest with you, I would kind of actually rather this be 15, just to make sure they don't have to go get another one. So seller will provide buyer with a clear termite letter dated within 15 days of closing. You can ask for it anytime. You have to have that for a VA loan. Just know that. What other ones do I like? I love a good escalation clause. I'm gonna scroll up. Is that cool? You got quality life? Escalation clause. Escalation clause. Okay. An escalation clause is used whenever there's going to be multiple offers, whether you already know they are or you think there's going to be. And this is a way of getting your buyers to win a property without throwing out their best price up front. So on page 1, where it had purchase price, put in the list price or a little bit higher, whatever they're comfortable with, and then parentheses, see special step number, in this case 4. Okay, buyers agree to pay X number of dollars above next highest written net offer, not to exceed X number of dollars. Seller will provide buyer with proof of other offers upon reaching a binding. Typically, I put $1,000 here. Typically, I put $1,000. Oops. I go up to whatever they want to go up to. Now, fun fact. Everyone's going to pick a nice round number. Maybe a bunch of people have an escalation clause up to 350 on a home that's listed at 340. I always make this a little bit, a smidgen higher. So like, for example, on the one that we won, I think we went up to like 270, 100. Does that make sense? Because that 100 is going to make a difference. Now, a couple things I need y'all to pay attention to on an escalation clause. You have to word this specifically in this way. next highest, written, I don't care what they verbally told you, I want to see it on paper that they're offering it to you, net. Because if one house is, if it's listed at 240 and the other people offer them 245, but they're asking for $5,000 in closing, that net's only 240. So you're only going to push my buyers to 241. You're not pushing my buyers to 246. I don't care what they ask for in closing costs. The net is what my buyers will pay $1,000 higher than. Does that make sense? Next highest written net offer. So these are the most, not necessarily important, but these are the most common, is going to be things that convey with the property. Either there's no property disclosure or it just isn't checked on there. Quality of life step is very common. Escalation clause. Those are the most common. Well, we can come back to more if there's time, but I want to make sure we go to all of the documents. And I can share that with y'all. So let's go back to dot loop. Perfect. So now let's go to the financing. Conventional is probably going to be your most common, followed by FHA. So let's look at the conventional loan. They are very different. Not really, but also yes, the differences are very important. That's what I'll say. Make sure that you have in here whatever letter it goes with, offer date, address auto-populates properly. Most of the time, almost every time, I've only checked A. There are, like Supreme actually offered my people a 97%, they offered them a 3% down loan with an option of getting a loan on the 3%. So it was actually 0% down. It's kind of confusing if you don't know what I'm saying, but you very, very rarely will check B. You must be on the phone speaking voice to voice with the lender to fill this stuff out. If a lender will not get on the phone with you to answer these questions, that is probably not a lender that you want to be working with, just saying. Loan amount. This isn't the percent down, it's the opposite of the percent down. So my peeps are putting 3% down. It's a 30-year loan, that's very typical. You're really only gonna see 30 or 15. And then interest rate. This part is very important. If you are a listing agent and they do not put an interest rate in there, make them put it in there before your seller will sign. The reason is this. This interest rate portion is in there to protect your buyers against maybe we go under contract and then the next day World War III goes out and everything jumps to 5% interest. Well, they're not gonna afford the home anymore if you jump up the interest like that. So this is stating that during the financing contingency, the buyers can secure a loan at that interest rate or lower. If the interest rate jumps higher than that, they're allowed to walk away. You do not want this to be too low of a number. If someone put 2% in there, I'd be like, okay, they're not going to get a 2% interest rate. That doesn't even exist. I don't know if that's ever existed. The best I've ever seen is like 2.825 I got for myself. So make sure that that's a legitimate number. And then you're really mostly going to see fixed and institutional. The lender can help you. I put in who my lender is along with their name. Almost everyone knows Supreme. They have a great reputation. Financing contingency. That can only be answered by the lender. You have to have a conversation with them before you can fill this out. The reason we put 0 in is because my buyers had been working with Allison for like a week and they had already gotten her all their documents. They were underwritten. They were good to go. We didn't need a financing contingency. Sometimes I've written in 0 a couple times. Sometimes they've only been working with the lender for like a day or two and they still have to get them some documents. Well, guess what? If I have a 7-day due diligence period, I can walk away for any reason, okay? So if my financing contingency is 7 days or less, I may want to consider putting 0 in there because my due diligence will just cover them. I can walk away for whatever reason during due diligence. I'm going to leave it at that. Talk to your lender. The next thing is the appraisal contingency. If this is anything more than 2 weeks, I would call shenanigans. If you're a listing agent, there are people that can do it. Don't accept 21 and 28 days. That's bogus. in my opinion. And then signatures and such. Again, I fill it out for them just to be nice. Questions on conventional loan. FHA is different, and ooh, it's different. So let's just add one just for funsies. Who orders appraisal? The lender orders the appraisal. Sometimes, and the buyer has to pay for that up front. So most of the time, I don't like the appraisal to be ordered until we've at least had the inspection, because if the inspection is like, oh my gosh, we don't want to buy this thing anymore, then don't pay for the appraisal. Okay, let's just let this autofill. Great. FHA, same thing on the front here, same exact stuff, right? Okay, where it starts to change is there's no appraisal contingency on an FHA. On an FHA and a VA loan, you don't put in 11 or 14 or 15 days for an appraisal, okay? The government loans have up until the day before closing to get the appraisal done and back to everyone. There's no appraisal contingency on FHAs, okay? There's still the financing contingency. So however many days the lender needs to look over the buyer's info and paperwork. The next thing you're gonna fill out is the amendatory clause. This is where you put in the purchase price, but you don't put in a number of days for appraisal, because they just automatically have until the day before closing. So I put in the purchase price here for number 11. Mortgage insurance premium, check with the lender, but it's always, for me, it's been 1.75. 1.75, typically it's added to the loan amount and financed. Ask the lender, make sure. And then I think always checked the first one for 14, tax service fees. I don't actually know what that is, if I'm being honest with you. The lender just tells me to click it, so I click it. So for 12, 1.75 is very common, and I almost always check B. Again, the lender needs to tell you that. And then for 14, I think I always check the first box. Repairs required an FHA commitment. This one is very, very important, because there are some properties that aren't in a condition that is at the standard for FHA loans. FHA loans have to be, there can't be any exterior holes. The decks all have to be structurally sound. I mean, I had a seller that we knew it needed some work, and the appraisal required him to do about $1,500 worth of woodwork. So if you're the buyer, what you want to do is write in seller, because this is saying when the appraiser goes and says, hey, these things aren't in good enough condition, you want the seller to be the person that pays for the repairs. Typically 500 is very standard. What this is saying, the paragraph below says, if you get the appraisal and there's over, let's say $500 worth of repairs that are required by the appraiser, and the seller doesn't want to pay for them because it's over 500, people are allowed to walk away, but they have to have a written estimate of those repairs. I've never had to deal with it, just it is important to fill out 15 properly. It's very standard to say seller and 500. Very standard. Public sewer, this is saying that if the home is on septic, and because originally the home was just made with it being on septic, and since then the county has come in and put public sewer in the street, it may be required that the house with septic now be connected to the city sewer. Only for FHA and VA, only if it's a septic house that now has public sewer access. So make sure that you click seller pays for it, not to exceed however much money. The lender, I don't know the last time I had to check this. Almost all of my FHA ones have already been connected to sewer, so I've left it blank. And then for FHA, you're required on the loan to disclose if anyone's related. So arm's length transaction means that the buyer and seller don't have a connection. Like they're not, if they're friends, that's fine, but like they can't be related, etc. So I almost always check this is not, I'm sorry, this is an arm's length transaction. Questions? These are pretty easy when you have the lender on the phone, and then you kind of know what to do after you do a couple of them. So let's go to the community association disclosure, because I have that one right here handy. This is really filled out by the seller and the buyer just signs it. But I want to show you a couple of things that you need to confirm that it's accurate. Sometimes I confirm this before we go under contract. Sometimes I confirm this during our due diligence period, just depends on what my time is. But you want to make sure, is this a voluntary association or a mandatory? So like swim tennis is sometimes voluntary. You don't have to be a part of the swim tennis club. If it's mandatory, you need to see that it's mandatory. And is it $600 a year? Is it $600 paid in 12 installments, which means $50 a month? Typically, if you see that it's an annual payment, it just is a check that you write at the beginning of the year, typically. If you typically see that it's 12 payments, that is an amount that's added to your mortgage, and it comes out, it's just escrowed and it comes out of your mortgage amount. The lender can tell you more, the contact for the association can tell you more. That's just typically. They should completely fill this out with who the contact information is. That's who, as soon as we go under contract, I'm gonna call them so that I can see the budget, the minutes from the last couple meetings, make sure that there's no craziness going on. Like they're not gonna get assessed for $5,000 each. My HOA got assessed for like $800 a townhome for a retention pond that they wanted to build. And it was on the minutes, they were talking about it. I don't want my buyers the month after they close to get hit with an $800 bill, right? Transfer fees, make sure that you add that in, because that's going to come out of their closing stuff. Buyer pays for transfer fees. There is not a special assessment. That's good. If they check yes, ooh, you better find out what you got to find out about that. Who's already paid it? Has the seller paid it? Is it going to be on the buyers the month after they close? Special assessment is maybe the condo building is getting a new roof and the budget doesn't have enough in it. And so everyone has to cough up $1,000 or something like that. I mean, I've seen it be like $11,000 before for new siding in Peachtree Place, the condos right across down the road from us. What does the assessment, or what does the monthly HOA pay for? Any litigation? Are they being sued for anything? And then there you go, initials. Sorry, I wanna include as many as we can, so I'm trying to fly through these. A pre-approval letter has to be included in there, or proof of funds if you're doing all cash. So this is what it will always look like for Atlantic Bay. Make sure that it's for at least the price that you're offering. And then the last thing I wanted to show y'all is an example of a love letter from buyers. I will do this on any multiple offer situation, and sometimes I do it on not multiple offer situations, but oh, look at the happy couple, so cute. So this is my friend Stephanie and her boyfriend Ryan. Ryan is the one that's actually purchasing. However, Stephanie's done like all the work. So dear owner, blah, 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 blah. And then here's a cute little thank you. Thank you so much for letting us see your beautiful home. You obviously have taken great care of it. We can't wait to make this memory in your home. Please give it to us. Love, Ryan and Stephanie. Make it genuine. They'll know if it's not genuine. The other thing that I love to do in love letters is if you see a dog bowl, you see pictures of a baby, if they leave things out around the house when you're there for a showing, use those things to your advantage. Stephanie and Ryan do not have a dog. The seller has a dog. Stephanie and Ryan want to get a dog. So now they're going to talk all about the puppy that they want to get together. And that's going to tug on the heartstrings a little bit. You know that it's going to a little bit of the seller. So that's an example of a love letter. Look how cute. Like Stephanie did good. What questions do y'all have? Those were the most common ones that we're going to see. What What did I not do? Lead-based paint? Wait, let's do lead-based paint real quick because that one is important. And people oftentimes don't understand exactly what to do with it. Lead-based paint exhibit is required for anything 1978 or before 1978. I still do them for 1978 houses. Autofill, exhibit letter, address. Okay, you're going to get this automatically from the listing agent. They have to provide this for you. It's an $11,000 fine if something has lead-based paint and it wasn't disclosed. Typically, the seller is going to check, has no knowledge of lead-based paint hazards in the house. So typically they're going to check here. And then B. They'll typically check the second one on A and B. Then it's the buyers that have to initial. Maybe your buyer wants a 10-day opportunity to conduct a lead-based paint test. I've never had someone do that. Here's the thing. If you're buying a house from 1978 or earlier and you haven't painted over the 1978 paint, you know, how often do we see houses that still have the original paint on it? You know what I mean? Like, there's probably lead-based paint, but it's probably under a couple layers of paint. Don't chew on the windowsills and we're good. You still have to have this filled out. And that's what happened is I think a child chewed on a windowsill, got lead poisoning, and now this is why this is required. Make sure that all the initials, because there's a bunch of initials and check boxes, and then the signatures. Perfect. What questions can I answer for y'all? Get the chat box. If you have a buyer, what do you say? Oh, perfect. So due diligence period kind of depends on what day of the week do we go under contract. If we're going to go binding on a Friday, I most likely can't get an inspector in there till Monday. So if we go binding on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's the third day of due diligence. I'm kind of pushing it if I only ask for 7. So in that case, I may ask for a little bit longer than 7 just to make sure that we have enough time. Because remember, due diligence isn't just the first inspection that you do. Not almost always, but more often than not, I have to then have a specialist go in to check something out. Maybe there's mold in the crawl space. God, that happens so much here. I have to be able to get AeroPest out to do the termite inspection. Maybe we knew that the roof was a little bit older. The inspector's like, yeah, you may want to get a quote for a new roof because that's going to be in the next year or 2. So depending on the time of the week, I will do 7 is very standard for me. And I will line up the inspection for the first day or the second day of due diligence. If I can't do the inspection by the second day of due diligence, I'll make it longer than 7. You can ask for 10. I just like to be competitive. If all of your terms are really competitive on your offer, sometimes you can get away with doing a little bit less money. So, what other questions? Okay, awesome. I appreciate y'all so much being on today's training calls. Some of y'all were here for all 3. I think Raul was here for all 3. So hooray, Raul learned a whole lot today. I think that's awesome. So thank y'all and your businesses. Thank you for being so learning based. Y'all are awesome. Please let me know if you need anything at all outside of this. Shoot me an email if you want the list of the special stipulations. There's somewhere in the Facebook group, the Keller Williams Peachtree Road Facebook group. Oh, you guys are so welcome. Happy to help. You guys are awesome as well. You make me proud. Go forth and prosper. If you don't need anything else, Jeff Perry was also here for everything, and he's at work. So yeah.
Shh, don't tell.
I mean, he's here in the office.
Like I said, no one
It's
else
fine.
numbers.
All right, y'all are awesome. Thank you. Let me know if you need anything. I need to go hydrate because you can hear that I've been talking for 3 hours. Love y'all. Bye. You're welcome.